I welcome everyone to the Booma Streama number 39 featuring Charley. Mycelial networking, fungus, fascia, and frequency. Friday, June 12th, 2026. I hope you all watched that promo because that was freaking hilarious, right? Yes. Oh, hey, matey. What's happening, ladies? We'll start out with Charley. How you feeling? Are you ready?
Oh boy, yeah. Oh boy. You really outdid yourself this time, Booma. That was next level.
And the only reason it happened is because you said you were over there cursing like a sailor putting the stuff together. And I was like, oh, you gave me an idea.
You said, oh.
Gave me an idea. So then we ended up in the pirate ship. And then I didn't even think of Pirates of the Caribbean until all of a sudden I was like, wait. After I created the thumbnail or whatever, I was like, I could totally play with this at Pinata Farms. Took it there. And next thing you know, I don't remember what the name of that character is, but we got Juxta in there playing kind of the bad guy role. What, do you guys know what the name of that character is? Is it Blackbeard or something? I don't know.
Oh my god.
It might be.
You might have to look it up. But it's
Sir,
freaking hilarious. Even when he was that?
I had juxtaposition, sir. If you're watching, I had nothing to do with that. I didn't do any of it.
We got you a good one. Well, how are we doing, Don D?
Doing great. Good to be here tonight. It's going to be a great stream. Hi, everybody in YouTube and Rumble. Good to be seen. Love y'all.
And what's happening, honey?
Good evening, guys. Well, evening for me. I don't know what time it is for everyone else, but
right.
It's a beautiful evening here. Hi, nice to be here.
And Heather, what's happening?
What's happening? I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited for the stream tonight. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Pretty excited, too. So we're going to start off. Obviously, Charley's going to have a little presentation, and we'll all chat through it and discuss something that's very important, and we're having some fun right now. But, yes, I think this will be a very important discussion. She put together some great stuff, so I'll be showing that on the screen as she guides me. And we'll have a little bit of fun. But welcome, everybody that's in the chat. I think we're good on the Rumble. We're rocking and rolling live on Rumble. Good to go there. YouTube. And I think we're good there. And then Substack. Welcome, everybody on Substack. Awesome. We got a bunch of people joining. So glad to have you here. And so, yeah, going to kind of pass it over to Charley and let her rock and roll through this presentation. But what inspired you to do this, Charley?
Okay, so I've been really interested in the connection between fungus and frequency for a long time. And that's probably why I have no friends. But there's a really interesting symbiotic relationship they have. So somebody, it was Kylie in the chat who mentioned how there's just been an explosion of mushrooms in her yard. And I think Heather said too. She, hi everybody. And then I saw something that Brandon had posted about, he was having a look at some of the dust in his home under microscopes, which was really interesting. The filaments looked kind of mycelial in nature. So I was like, maybe there's a space in this community where we can crack this open and just have a look at it together, because I'm not an expert. I don't have all the answers. I'm just a nerd. I like reading, I like researching, and I really like seeing parallels and patterns and connections. So I thought it would be a cool thing for us all to kind of brainstorm together and look at the various ways that both fungus and frequency have an effect on our perception of reality, because they both modulate us. They're both neuromodulatory because they're both neurotoxic. Anyways, I guess you can just kind of roll the pics there, the slides.
Aye, Captain. Real quick, though.
Yeah.
Take a look at this. So what you see here, talking about being a nerd, the picture that I'm holding as I turned it into a portrait, and I'm on the boat trying to protect it while the ladies man the ship. That's what she sent me. She's like, I guess you can use this for the tag. And I was like, really? That is not an eye catcher, just so you know. And I'm not going to lie, it's the same thing with Sabrina Wallace sometimes. Love you, Sabrina, but damn, you send me some stuff. I'm like, how can I make this look awesome? Come on, people. Freaking nerd brains. Anyways, I appreciate the nerd brains because it's going to be very important going forward. But you need a guy like moi in order to throw something together to
like
make
a
people
wizard
laugh,
pirate.
smile, and pull them towards us.
Perfect.
So let me get my pirate hair under control here real quick, and we'll get rolling. And then anybody can jump in as we have this discussion. But your first picture that I saw is mostly just boom. Don't panic.
Yeah. For everybody who's familiar with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, this is the central piece to their philosophy as dwellers of the interstellar realm. They their main philosophy is just no matter what happens, don't panic, and I love that because it's basically, you know,
I'm in the
Jesus
dark.
said, "Fear not." It's just it's a good thing to keep in mind as we explore these issues, because the types of things we're talking about, especially when it has to do with psychological stuff, can, you know, trigger some feelings of like fear or paranoia and things like that. So that is not my intention. In fact, it's the opposite. This discussion is to sort of maybe qualify and explain why so many people are having so many different neurological symptoms, both, you know, with inflammatory conditions in the peripheral nervous system and also neurocognitive issues or psychiatric issues. Yeah, don't panic. We're unpacking and exploring these topics to empower ourselves.
And it seems you, how long have you been following like Sabrina Wallace's work? Because it seems like this is going to directly connect with some of the stuff that she exposes.
A couple years. I haven't been here since 2022, like so many, but 2020, late 2023, 2024. So a couple years.
Right. Well, here it is. This is the one that she sent me, and I was like, "Oh, girl, come on now."
It's not boring.
It's not boring, and this is like really important. So important that I made the ladies man the ship during a storm to protect this amazing portrait of networks, neuronal, fascial, and mycelial. And then you're getting into the nano and the body area networks and stuff. That's how important it is. However, for an eye catcher, and so people don't just look at it and be like, "Oh man, that's nerd shit."
People aren't
a sailor's pirate ship, and I'm protecting this portrait that we've saved for centuries. This is the truth. Here we go. Let us have it, Charley.
It was genius. I love what you did. So, yes, I'm just having a look here at patterns, right? And how in nature we see similar patterns, or sometimes we call it the fingerprint of God, you know, reflected in different biological organisms and patterns, movement of water and land and things like that. But specifically here, I was looking at neurons, fascia, and mycelial networks, because neuronal networks, fascial networks, and mycelial networks are all very similar in form and function. And then we've got down there in the lower right corner, you know, the wireless body area networks. Yes, let me see. I have.
And it is crazy how all this, I mean, obviously the neuronal and the fascia, that's in especially us, mammals, animals. The mycelial, though, connection that you're making here, I thought that was interesting. So why did you go to the fungus or whatnot?
I hit fungus because of how prevalent it is in the discussion of synthetic biology.
Mm-hmm.
And the biomimicry, science mimicking God's design because it's so efficient and effective to exploit and utilize for their own purposes. So, kind of the big question is like, what kind of biological or let's say, what kind of effect are they having on the mycelial networks in the soil and in our bodies and brains with frequency, and how much of it's deliberate and how much of it is like, oopsie daisy, we didn't mean to, affect things this way. But I think there's a lot of interesting information about that out in the ethers that I have explored and haven't fully digested yet, insofar as what types of mold they're using, because different molds respond to different frequencies. So we can go into the next one.
Right. And then I don't know if people know this, but I remember hearing about it. I don't know. I used to watch a lot of the Joe Rogan podcasts, just to confess, before I was awake to anything. Anyways, they was always talking about shrooms and stuff, because Rogan was always into, smoking weed and then psychedelics and the different benefits of certain things. I think he just helped get ibogaine as an option out there with Trump, how that works. But anyways, people might not be aware. I just thought real quick, I remember hearing about this, but the DNA of mushrooms. So humans and mushrooms share about 40 to 50% of their DNA, despite looking completely different. Fungi are genetically closer to humans and other animals than they are to plants. People, because I remember hearing about some of this while I was watching a show on this stuff, because there was all kinds of like ideas that like, there was I can't remember the name of the guy. He brings him up a lot, Rogan, that is, or at least he used to. A guy that was big into psychedelics and the ways that it could help the brain. And they even thought, this is probably coming more from maybe a scientific atheistic background. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Your spiritual belief or whatnot. But the idea is that aliens might have planted fungi here, and that it would expand the mind of us in an earlier state and breathe basically consciousness into the human species. Ooh. Interesting theory, eh?
Especially,
we share an amount of DNA with trees too. Look that one up, Dorian.
How much? Okay, I'll look that up. But go ahead, Charlie. What were we going to say?
Just given the prevalence and the push of like microdosing mycelium in Silicon Valley for mind expansion, for efficiency, it's being used. Similar to how we have cannabinoid receptors in our brain. I wonder, since we have such genetic similarities with the mushroom, if we're kind of supposed to be symbiotic with it as well.
Right. And as Honey just pointed out, I'll pull this up real quick. 50 to 60% of our genes are shared with both between humans and trees. That is kind of wild, but it makes freaking sense. And as we get into this stuff, because when I saw the ways that the networks in the mycelial realm, and I'm thinking a lot of different, whether it's trees or some of these other things that people might not think about so much, because we're always thinking about humans and how we can save our families and our family members and maybe even our pets and stuff like that. But when it comes to fungus and stuff like that, when you showed that previous slide that we just were looking at, the networking looked so similar to the fascial network and the neuronal network that I was like, damn. And this is crazy. And I mean, I don't know if anybody out there, like, there's all kinds of different kinds of mushrooms, of course. And you were saying earlier you didn't have a lot of friends, but I'm like, man, if you got some good mushrooms, you got lots of friends. No, no worries about that as far as the psychedelic side of things go. And that's just a little joke, but they do have a different kind of effect on the mind. And it, someone mentioned, I think it was D Menace, been doing a little bit of the microdosing of psilocybin, and I've wondered about that because they give us all these, like, pharma made pills and stuff like that. I grew up with a lot of hippies, so I got, I guess, that kind of perspective early on in the small town that I grew up in, Washington State, up in the mountains. But it was more natural stuff. Now, you let governments in there and they're going to manipulate it. But if you had actual natural stuff, it would be interesting to see the kind of benefits you get, because I do hear that previously broken neural networks can be reconnected using things like psilocybin. That's just a theory that's out there. I think they've done enough studies to prove it. I'll just say for now, like, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I have studied that stuff to a certain degree because it's very interesting, and I studied psychology. So just wanted to throw that in there, but we can move on to the next slide if you're ready. Because now we get into looking at one of these. Here we go.
Brandon had mentioned something in the chat too. He shared an article today about a species of plant called mycorrhizal, or a species of fungi. And it evidently does nutrient exchanges with 70% of plant species, and exchanges the nutrients for carbon. So it sequesters carbon and from the plants in exchange for the network. And it takes up they've estimated algorithmically that it's about 4 to 6-fold the biomass of humans. So there's 4 to 6 times the amount of this particular species of mold that connects with 70% of plants that lives underneath us, 4 to 6-fold times the amount of human beings. This biomass of mycelium underneath us connecting everything. So I thought that was an interesting article. Thanks for sharing that, Brandon.
Right. And are we going to get into a little bit of the discussion about mold and all that kind of stuff too?
Yes. Yep. Okay. We're definitely going to. This here, okay, guess. Is that mold? Is that fascia? Are those neurons? Or is that a spider web?
Looks like fascia to me, but anybody else can throw in their thoughts too.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't say spider web.
Right.
It looks more like fascia to me too. But they all look so similar as a thing.
Right.
Yeah. That's actually neurons.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's neurons. Okay.
You can go to the next one.
Boom. There we go.
I think you skipped one, but that's
Did I skip one?
That's okay.
No, I swear I have them in order. Are you sure? Which one are you looking for? Give me a color. Was it the blue one or is it the reddish pink one?
Reddish pink one.
Okay, we'll pull that one up. There we go. That one?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
That is, okay, so same question. Neurons, fascia, spider web, or mycelium?
Fascia.
Yes, nice.
That's
Dawn,
fascia?
right?
Yep.
How'd you pick that out so fast, Dawn?
Yeah. What's it?
It just came to me. It just looked like a covering, you know, I don't know, facade, fascia, I don't know.
Okay, because of the color, maybe? Like the color is significant, correct?
Well, I'm not sure if the color is significant. I think more, I don't know, like to me, I can tell that's fascia too, because that's the way it feels for me. Like when I'm tight somewhere, it feels like that's what's happening. Like just that webbing, that tightness.
Any idea where that fascia is taken from? Like where do they, because that looks, I mean, there's some binds and stuff like that, but that's kind of what you get. So like fascia, if you haven't seen it from like a human perspective, everybody's probably seen by that at this point, the anatomy displays where they have the human bodies in different poses, athletic poses, but you see the white on them. If you're a deer hunter, if you've seen meat where it has the white around it, fascia is literally around every muscle bundle and all of the muscles and connected to the skin, and then a lot of the neural network that runs through the body. It's like when you touch something hot, that's how you can pull it away real fast, because it's connected to the muscle system so that you have reactions. You need to protect yourself, you need to close your eyes real fast. All this stuff is connected as like a fascial matrix. When you're a child, you can pull your legs like back behind your head, and you just laugh and giggle and, you know, blow bubbles or whatever. And then later on in life, it's like me, I can't get anywhere near doing the splits or having much flexibility at all. And so everybody has a different level of flexibility when it comes to the fascia. But when I worked in massage, this is what we're working with a lot of the time is fascial binds. So where you're seeing a lot of the connections where it's more white. I'm not saying it's a bad thing all the time, because you're depending on what you do for a living and stuff like that, it can make you stronger and more able to do various things. But that's what you're usually looking for, is knots or crunchy areas that have been like crystallized fascia is what I'm breaking up a lot in my body. It's crazy though that Dawn already knew that was fascia, because I couldn't tell if that was fascia or a spider web. Crazy.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, those adhesions, those fascial adhesions, they just build up with whatever you do every day repeatedly, right? So let's say you're using your computer mouse for 14 hours a day. You're going to start, your fascia will start building networks to accommodate that action. And then when you stop working at your computer for 14 hours a day, your shoulder's going to be like kind of stiff compared to the other one, because you're going to start noticing it. That's what happened to me. That's why I'm sharing that story. But anyways, we can go to the next one.
Well, and then a lot of injuries. So the fascia is like building like a protection network too. And you can have a certain amount of flexibility, but especially in like sports, like a lot of the higher end sports that I played, in the sense that like you're doing action movements, really fast movements, or you're playing football where you're actually colliding and you have injuries. Your fascia is grabbing onto areas like your shoulder, say you injure your shoulder or your wrist or something like that. And it's creating, you know, there's swelling and stuff like that to create less mobility so that it can like protect that area and then repair it. But if you don't go through the right rehabilitation process, and a lot of those old schoolers were taught no pain, no gain, suck it up, pussy, those kinds of things. And then you never really got back your full range of motion, because once it came back, the fascial system had really set in to protect that area. And then now I'm dealing with shit that was decades old, because I never dealt with the rolled ankle that I had when I played through like my whole senior year of basketball with it. And so I'm breaking up that kind of stuff, and I'm questioning how long you can go while you're letting this fascia basically be crystallized in your body. And most of us can feel it in our injured areas. How long can you go, and can it reintegrate into the more fluid fascial matrix that it started out as? So when you overextend something, that fascia is going into play, and it's going to try to protect that area. And then some people live, like before we had a lot of doctors and people reset and stuff like that. I knew a guy in the small town that I grew up in. He walked on the side of his foot because he broke his foot in a car accident, and then his body just repaired itself in that way. But he doesn't have a lot of pain by walking on his foot on the side of his foot. It looks like it hurts, but he's just like, it's just normal to me. That's how the fascial system works in order to keep you going.
Yep. I'm correcting exactly that predicament for myself. I was walking on the outside of my foot for a while after I broke it. And now I'm dealing with all the problems upstream, breaking up those adhesions that were accommodating, providing a secondary plan B sort of infrastructure to support biodynamics. But, you know, fascia is crazy. It grips, I think, with 3,000 pounds of pressure per square inch, from what I remember. 3,000 or 5,000 pounds. So it's tight, and it takes a lot to get through. And I actually do this thing called block therapy, where you lay or put a limb or put pressure on this block of wood that for 3 minutes each area, so that you're getting that pressure on a hard surface to really work into those adhesions. And 3 minutes of time is the estimated sort of amount of time that it takes for that fascia to begin to release a little bit. So, I mean, anyways, enough about fascia. We can nerd out about fascia for a million years, but
could I ask a quick question?
Go for it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you know about the muscles or whatever, but like, to me, I had some muscle weirdness, and it felt like how when you pull cotton candy apart. And I'm like, is that fascia or that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If it wasn't muscle, I mean, you'd probably know if it was muscle, but that'd most likely be fascia.
It just feels like cotton candy type tearing.
What area was it in?
Like creaky?
Yeah. Well, I'm snap, crackle, and pop all the time, but I think it was up in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it just kind of felt like something, and I can only describe it as like cotton candy being pulled apart. It was just, but all right, that's what I thought.
That's why they say, you know, and I wasn't very good about it. I, you know, stretched, just did whatever. And when you're young, you can get away with a lot. And I had injuries growing up that I just always dealt with. There was a point where I couldn't jump off my left leg very well, but I just never even thought about it. I started jumping off both legs when I jumped high and all that kind of stuff. And then you just never deal with it. And slowly but surely some areas crystallize a little bit or harden a little bit more than others. Some of it had that semi, like what you're talking about, I think, Dawn, where the fascia is just partially kind of stagnant. So that's why some of the massage, that's foam rolling, stretching, doing warm ups, and making sure you're taking care of that fascia to like let it breathe and let it expand so that it doesn't harden up. But then if you're just doing the same movements over and over every day, and then just clocking in, clocking out, your body's going to get set, and you're going to have a certain range of motion that's only going to allow you to do so much. And then you go outside that, that's where you start having those really serious pains because you do a certain twist, you do a certain lift, and your body's all of a sudden breaking through the fascia that was holding you in those certain positions. And then boom, you're dealing with an injury. And then you got to go get diagnosed by a doctor that could be a freaking retard when it comes to fascia. Because I don't think they don't get trained enough on nutrition. They don't get trained on fascia, which fascia is the massage world and a lot of the alternative holistic healings. And doctors don't get trained on it nearly enough. Now, surgeons got to understand it because they have to cut through that and deal with it. But it doesn't get like sent out to the general practitioners, I think, nearly as much as it should.
And a really good way to exercise and stretch without exercising is to do what you did as a teenager. Turn the radio on to the tunes you like and clean your room or clean the bathroom or don't clean anything. I break it down like a stripper in the garage for 20 minutes every morning. You know, I dance like no one's watching. And then you realize that you've controlled, you know, you've sped your heart rate up for a certain amount of time. You're still smiling. You might be out of breath, but you're like on a natural high if you like doing that stuff. And it will also rip your tummy out a little bit, you know, because I'm not really one to do the gym thing. I'm just too all over the place for like structured exercise, but I can dance and I can clean and I can sing when nobody's listening.
One question, honey. One question. Is a pole involved?
No, I don't even need one. I can bring it all the way down and back up at 55 without holding any pole.
Yeah, girl. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Work that fascia.
I'm gonna get low.
There you go. What's up, Liz? Billy Hart in the house. That's how Biscuits jump in. We got Sir Colin Wise. What's happening, everybody? Glad to have you. Sat down to crochet and was able to catch it live. Yeah. Ooh, you working on the Booma doll? Was I supposed to say that? There, yeah, I think you already announced it. You're working on a Booma doll. I'm really excited to see what happens with this the Booma doll. We'll see what happens, or maybe I should be a little nervous. Maybe I should be a little nervous.
Yeah.
Heather, are you in communication with Liz? Should I be a little nervous about the Booma doll?
Maybe. I'll never tell.
Right.
Got to get some beads on that doll. She said she's going to work on the beard. I saw she posted something on YouTube, and it was just the eyebrows. And somebody said, "Oh, the eyebrows are cool or cute or something." And she said, "Yeah, you should wait till you see the beard." I was like, "Yes."
Do you have the Sabrina doll up on the Etsy store, Liz? Sorry, I don't want to derail your presentation here, Charlie, so we can move on. But wanted to, if that's still rocking on the Etsy store, I want to show people. Anyways, the next slide, since I felt like I got a little bit out of order, is it a more color of like got a little orange in it, or is it the blue one?
Either one's fine.
Either one's fine. This one?
Sure. Yeah. All right. Same question. Spiderweb, fascia.
This one's a spider web.
Spiderweb. Yeah, that's accurate.
Yes!
That
Finally.
is crazy.
Right? It looks like a neural network. It looks like
Yeah.
fascia. It looks like mycelium. I mean,
Like all of
similarity.
them wrapped in one.
Yeah.
And what are all those little dots? Those little orange, like they almost look like lights, and then the little like stars in the background,
Oh,
and the little
those are,
spiral thing in the corner. You just see the little spiral things.
those are just like, like water stamp images because I pulled the photo from a stock photo.
Oh,
Watermark.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. But that would be cool.
that'd
If
be
the spiders
interesting.
were making little spirals.
Is this a spider that could be on cannabis or meth or crack? Have you guys ever watched that video? Have you seen that video? Have you guys seen that video? It's an old video that they used to show where it was there were spiders on different drugs, and it showed the ways that they would make the web. And the one that was on marijuana had a very lame, like lazy web. One on like crack had like a super, or like whatever it was, had like a super fucking web that was like extreme. And then there was the meth one that was like all discombobulated. I'm not saying this one is. This one's probably just a spider not on drugs. But it just reminded me of that. I'm sorry I had to share. But there's a video out there. You can just look it up. Spiders on drugs, spider on drug web, or something like that. And you're gonna watch it. And it's crazy because they actually gave certain spider these drugs and showed how it created a web while it was on those drugs. It was crazy. Anyways, yeah, the weed spider was just like, whatever, bro. Hit that Bob Marley.
Looking at like it's a network, it's a network, and it helps us really visualize the system that they're kind of working to override.
Yeah. It's crazy how much it looks like it. It's I mean, I guess so. A spider is creating a web partially for a home, but mostly to capture prey, correct?
Yeah. I mean, the different webs for different functions, right? Because they can make that tight little nest, or they can make like this beautiful geometric shape. Of course, science would mimic that. It's so efficient.
It is. It's and that's what we have throughout all these networks, are like webs. And then when you think about like the digital webs that we maybe not be able to see, but that's what we see with the different radio waves coming in, internet waves, satellite waves, cell phone waves, these interconnected webs of connectivity that are happening all around us that we might not be able to see.
Yep. Yeah. The invisible rainbow, which we'll get into a little bit in a second too, but we can move on to the mold and frequency discussion if you're ready.
Does that incorporate a slide, or do you want to just discuss it?
Well, the mushroom the picture of the mushrooms, I think.
Girl, you did not give me these in order, so I'm just gonna say that.
I didn't
say it. I put these together 1, 2, 3 to whatever.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let me see.
They look in order on my end, bro.
See, here's what I got, bro. So this is 6 for me, but you want to move on to the mushroom one, which the mushroom one's a badass looking fucking picture. But that's what I got for 6. I'll stop sharing.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I thought we were just gonna skip that one, but because
Why would we skip it? What is this one? I want to know what it is. Okay.
Well, guess.
Somebody else guess. I guessed right before. What do you guys got?
No, look at the mold.
Heather,
But,
you
so
said
it's either what one? Which one do we have left?
this green one on the screen. Is this oh yeah. Well, I guess it is the only one left. Yeah.
Right. So it's mold.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's what I said. It looks like mold, but I wasn't sure if it was just because of the color or, I mean, it kind of looks like a broken spider web to me.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting about it, right? Because it has the tentacles on it, but it doesn't have connections everywhere like a lot of the other networks have.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure it probably is connected if you really could. I mean, I can only see so much of it because it's small, but I mean, it looks like it goes way out.
Or it's
Yeah,
like a
if you
fucking
look-
octopus that's trying to like find the next connection, which would be your fucking body or your
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah, it just reminds me of a spider web that after I've like watered and I've knocked some of it down. That's kind of what it looks like to me, but green.
Reminds me of like nerves or fibers or something.
Mhm.
Oh, fibers, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me a little to what was in Brandon's photo from his microscope, the dust. I'm not sure if that's a mycelium that they're picking up in those images, the magical microscopes. But it certainly looks like it. So, but yeah, so that's just that on that for networks. Just wanted to kind of point at that because I think it's an important part of understanding the biodigital convergence, the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies. The system is utilizing these networks that are already laid down by God himself to override. It's already established.
Right. Everything's energy. That's why we have to consume. That's why water is so necessary. That's why every single day you have to breathe, all these things, but we are energetic. Everything's freaking a frequency. Everything's a energy, and they're using technology now to tap into that. And they're using these networks in order to animate us, to neurally nudge us to whatever it is, in the brain. They can cause you to be more aggressive or more subdued. That's why they're putting fluoride and lithium and shit like that out there.
Yep. For sure. And then telling them it's ascension symptoms, or telling everyone it's because, or just all the diagnoses too. Just having these symptoms, you bring them into a doctor and they will give you a diagnosis. But let's move on to that next one, the fungus one with the mushrooms, because this will tie in. It is kind of a badass picture. I figured you'd like that picture.
Right. If someone were to actually take psychedelic shrooms, you could stare at this picture for hours.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Wow. And then it starts moving and you can see the frequency moving. Whoa, bro.
It looks like they're breathing.
So we had this real quick before you get into the talk about it. On the last the JK panel or whatnot, we had this moment where we were just joking around. I was just joking around about shrooms and stuff like that. I get a little carried away. And it's D Booma San. I'm a little nuts. All right. If you didn't know, welcome. But anyways, there was this one chick that was like all bitching about the discussion. Oh, why are we tuning into this? I was trying to come in here to learn something. You guys are talking about using drugs. That bitch or whoever it was could have been non-vaxxer for all I know with a freaking sock account. Join my Rumble channel right after that. Get the fuck out of here, people. If you don't like it, piss off. But that chick, freaking whoever it is, if it's a chick, if it's a dude with a fake AI picture on their profile, after talking so much shit, they joined my channel.
It's an authentic, real channel where you talk openly about stuff and you don't, tiptoe around all the feelings. Because if we did, we would just all talk about the same thing all the time. It's like,
love it.
Right. Yep. And I get super bored watching the professionals or the people that have credentials, and nothing against them. They're not all horrible or whatever, but they don't have, I don't know. I just get so bored and it seems monotonous sometimes. And so like, we just real people, like Charley ain't trying to go out there and make a big old name. So it was kind of funny, like kind of to bring you on or whatever. Cause if somebody gets inspired like Charley did to have this presentation, and you've been in the community and I know more about you and like we all love you and support you, like, fuck yeah, that's all it took. we put this together. We're freaking excited to talk about this stuff, and it connects right into a lot of the stuff that I've been covering on my channel when it comes to sharing Sabrina Wallace's work and the stuff that we've been trying to talk about with human augmentation and the way that they're using frequency and technology to tap into our neural networks, our peripheral nervous system, and the various things that Sabrina talks about. So we're going to help you. We're going to have this conversation. None of us here are super professionals or like have studied all this stuff forever. We're like you, the normal person that's trying to make sense of a conflicted world out there that is very, there's problems. Let's just say that for now. But here we are trying to understand why we're having all the problems, why we're having the health issues, why people are like feeling, why people are hearing tinnitus constantly in their head, what they call tinnitus. Why are people feeling these, some people will tell you on the internet are ascension symptoms, which is a bunch of hogwash. It's they're connecting into, they got your I can't wait for Chris 67 to release his documentary. Your booty is connected to the cloud.
And test it out. If you actually hear that frequency and it's not tinnitus all the time, move, see if it works. It goes away. It will.
Yeah.
Try it. You know, we listen to all the stuff and we take in so much that we end up not applying any of it. We're just learning and learning and telling others and not applying it to ourselves. It's time to show others.
And she, I can't see the name, but I see vertigo. I can't see very well because it's really small, but like a lot of my family suffers from that too. And I lived in an apartment that had the black mold, and the landlord insisted that that's not what it was. And it, like a year and a half later, found out it was. My daughter was really young. We had to move out for a week, and while they did all this stuff to it. And now that you're saying that, and I always thought back then, you know, you heard about certain people like even dying from black mold and things like that. Well, not only can it suffocate you and, you know, cause you a lot of harm, but they can use the frequency. So how many of us really have this mold and fungus that are just, I mean, we know fungus, we get fungus, athlete's foot, things like that. They can tune in. If we have it inside our body, it just makes it an easier access to.
We're a fish tank. The insides of us are just like a fish tank. If you don't keep it clean, it gets sick.
Right. That's why it's good to have a sucker fish. I always loved having the sucker fish when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I love that sucker fish, but he's
I
always
like
eating on that, cleaning the tank. Badass little guys.
I'll tell you, I do the 3 garlic cloves. I just recently started it again, and I'd done it before. Just 3 garlic cloves. And what I do now is I use a press and I put it in a bowl with an avocado all chopped up, add a little bit of Tabasco, and, you know, I never get so much as a tummy ache. Just that one little thing. Like, I have IBS and I have, you know, a lot of different issues, and that one little thing makes a difference.
Right. Honey, did you mention Zeolite?
Oh, I took that stuff. I took the root brand from Dr. Christina Rom. It was Clean Slate. And I took all of their stuff over different times. I've like I said, I've got a pack of Life Wave patches if anyone's interested.
Right. Well, what did you think about the Zeolite experience?
To be honest, when I took it, immediately I didn't experience the IBS issues.
That's interesting.
But it was really strange. It wasn't and I didn't feel for some reason right about it, and I had stopped taking it, and it was expensive. But I also bought into a thing called Solex. It was a frequency machine.
Right.
And it would pick up, you know, you could use it on others also. But I had heard about it years before, and it was an expensive like computer you had to buy. But by the time I actually bought into it, it was an app. And it was it would read and tell and say all these things that people had or might have had, and all the different frequencies to play to kill this and that and the other thing. And it was right about that time that I found Sabrina's channel.
Right. And she's warned against stuff like zeolite.
Well, I mean, everything changed once I started applying the things I learned from her and others,
Right.
watching a lot of different things. I bought off Alex Jones. I took the, what is it, X2, the iodine, his turmeric,
Right.
instead of just natural turmeric.
I know. Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people selling a lot of stuff out there, and just people need to pay attention, see how your body responds to various things if you do take it. When I was with Gene Decode, I took what we called mud mix. It was supposed to be a detoxer, and it had the charcoal. What was it called? Whatever. It was like the charcoal or whatever. Diatomaceous earth, zeolite, and something else. I can't remember what it was. But it didn't kill me. But I also did those videos with a guy that goes by Zach, Power of the Poles, and he warned against zeolite. And it's still kind of an ongoing thing because I'm in communication with the CEO of Masterpiece, and it's interesting hearing other people's takes and stuff on it. But there, above all, just know there's a lot of people selling a lot of garbage out there, and you need to be careful. And then this is one of the most serious situations: is the black mold. And I'm sorry to hear that, Carlton, but a lot of people suffer from this and have no idea why they're always sick. And it's in their apartment, it's in their home, and they don't find out about it. No one thinks about looking for it. And people can literally die from it, or you'll have long lasting, if not lifelong, problems with the fungus. And that's a major issue that people need to be aware of.
Really?
I have
That's what
asthma
happened
because of
with
it.
my mom. That's why she was homeless. We had 3 pets die in a house that she was living in, and she was just so sick, and we couldn't figure it out. And then we figured it out, and she was homeless and never got better after that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I still suffer with my lungs. I have asthma since then.
Yep.
When I got diagnosed with asthma was when I was living in that apartment, and my daughter too, but she was only like a year at that time.
Gosh.
I had a little
Yeah,
inhaler for her in this little tube thing. Sucked.
I hate bleach. When I worked in youth corrections, that's what we used to clean everything. And I feel like bleach could also like allow this stuff to evolve. I don't know. I mean, obviously it works, but man, I can't stand the smell of bleach hardly anymore.
You know what? It doesn't work. It actually causes the mold to release the mycotoxins, so it makes it more toxic. The best
bleach does that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A number of cleaners do. I've got a bunch of books on mold remediation that I should take a photo of, and because it is such an epidemic because of the fact that we are living in such dense frequency now. For the past 10 years, it's gone up millions of times the amount of radiation that's infiltrated the invisible rainbow around us. And fungus responds to frequency not only by growing at 600 times faster than it would outside of a field, but also by releasing more mycotoxins. And those mycotoxins are the problem. That's what causes the neuroinflammation and the neurodegeneration if not handled. So we can move to the next slide.
Right. And some of the symptoms, maybe I'm assuming you're talking about like black mold and stuff. A lot of these are similar. You'll get the brain fog. If you get it in your lungs, you'll have breathing issues. You'll have trouble sleeping, neurological issues, anxiety. You can have all kinds of stuff, maybe lethargic. It'll mess with everybody's system a little differently, but it'll have some of the similar effects where it literally will. I mean, Heather, you can probably speak to this because you're still dealing with it with your lungs.
Yeah, I mean, well, when we lived in the apartment, it was a lot of headaches, heaviness feeling, and like sort of like I had liquid in my, not like although I did get pneumonia several times, like walking pneumonia and stuff. But that was kind of constant. So it makes you feel like almost like flu-like symptoms, sort of like all of a sudden you'll just feel kind of dizzy or out of breath. Like it's a combination of things. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. So when I would go in, I get like, oh, well, you have walking pneumonia or you have bronchitis. I get diagnosed with bronchitis, either one of the two. Take the antibiotics, seemed to help for a while, and then it would just come right back as soon as the antibiotics were done. And I had rounds and rounds and rounds of antibiotics. I mean, it wasn't fun in a couple of years. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this to my body. Like, you can't just keep giving me antibiotics one after another, after another, after another, and get eye infections. I mean, it just caused a lot of problems. And my daughter, it would be like runny nose. It was more like allergies, but she couldn't tell me how she was feeling then.
Right.
But I was pissed when we finally did move out, and it was like, yeah, this is really dangerous. But they didn't even do the whole apartment. And when they were ripping the roof off, I looked up there and I was like, because the landlord kept saying, no, it's just in this little section. And it was throughout the whole entire complex. So the whole complex didn't even get taken care of, because I think they would have had to turn the whole thing down. Now, this particular one was very close to the water. So they kind of blamed it on that. Oh, you live close to the water, you're always going to have these mold issues. You got to keep your windows open all the time. You shouldn't have to do that. You should not have to keep your windows open 24 hours a day to control your mold. That there's a problem. And it's not fun still to this day, because I have allergies on top of it anyway. I'm allergic to everything my whole entire life. So it hit me really hard, where I had to have an inhaler, and I still have to use a not an inhaler, but that machine, the nebulizer.
Right. Yeah.
To this day. And this was, 13 years ago.
Gosh. Yep. Because those mycotoxins damage the myelin sheath on the nerves in your lungs. And so they become oversensitized to everything. So they'll just inflame without that protective shielding very easy and quickly. For rebuilding the myelin sheath, though, there's things you can do too. Animal fats and butters are great. So just a take that I learned there. But yeah, when my mom was in that mold, it was awful. It was such a devastating experience. Carlton, I'm so sorry to hear that it took out your mom, and I can absolutely see how. I didn't think my mom would make it a number of times for the last 25 years of her life, and she was a very bright, very capable, very incredible woman. And it just leveled her. And it leveled her even more that the mold took out a few of our pets. So, and I wondered, retrospectively, because that mold started really going nuts in about 1995. And Sabrina talks about 1995 being a huge marker for when they started hooking us up to the clouds. There were new frequencies rolling around. We weren't commercially available until 2004 or 2005, right? But we were connected in 1995. So I wonder I know that these frequencies are influencing this incredible amount of mold growth that we're seeing in the world, in people's homes, in people's lungs, the fungal balls that people are finding behind their sinus cavities, and the epidemic of candida, albicans, and fungal infection in children with autism.
Oh.
I worked for a pediatrician who treated autistic children exclusively, and that is the common thread. They all have candida and fungal dysbiosis. It's not just in the gut, it's systemic. Rashes, rage, all kinds of stuff gets completely mediated with some with you know a low mold antimicrobial diet, low sugar. Of course, molds love to eat starches and sugars, and that's hard to get kids to, you know, pull off of the starches and sugars because that's an addiction. The molds and fungus inside of them, they feed off of those sugars and they change the behavior of the child into, you know, really upset when the mold is not being fed. And I found that fascinating.
That's
Yeah, and that doesn't even account for the parasites as well.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking the same thing.
Things. It's amazing that we survive even as long as we do in the environment that we currently have. But
Yeah.
all of these things need to be taken into consideration, especially if people are having health problems or you're having health problems. These are the common things that are commonly behind it, especially now that we're learning what they're doing with the frequencies and how they're harvesting our energy, tapping into us, and doing their whatever they're doing. You know, so many different things.
It's thousand.
I think fungus and frequency, along with metamaterials, but fungus and frequency, whether it's biologically mimicking, or what's it called, biomimicry of actual fungus, or if they are using just plain fungus. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I'm talking to myself kind of a little bit. Is it cool if we move on to that next slide? Because it ties it right in. Right. This conversation goes so deep because these are the things we're not talking about: the fungus, the frequencies, and the effect that that's having on people's perception of objective reality, the neuromodulatory effects of, you know, the binary forces of frequencies and fungi and metamaterials.
Right, man, there's some really great information also being shared in the chat. Thinking out loud, we love it. We love when you're thinking out loud, Charlie, because that's how we process things, and everybody else can kind of see where you're at in your consciousness and what wavelength you're on. Because people in the chat are also seems to be thinking while typing out loud and sharing a lot of really important stuff to take into consideration when it comes to this conversation. I'm going to pull up the next slide now, but man, keep it up, you guys. You guys are awesome. This is important stuff. All right, is this the right one?
Yeah, great. Okay, so these are just some research papers, MDPI, NCBI, PubMed, about that relationship between fungi and frequency, how it elicits a 600% or a 600 times growth rate, and a massive amount more mycotoxins get released in these frequency fields. Wi-Fi was particularly studied, but there's so many different molds and so many different frequencies, and there's a very complex relationship between what happens with which. So what we do know, the EMFs greatly impact mold growth and mycotoxin production in the environment. Mycotoxins are the byproducts of mold. They're what they release, and they are the thing that is neurotoxic, neuroinflammatory and neurotoxic, which can cause psychiatric changes. Both mold and EMFs can produce psychiatric and neurocognitive changes in altered perception. And symbiotically, wow, they can create a whole new person with an entirely different perception of reality. It's not objective reality, that's for damn sure. It's suggested reality. So EMFs in mold and mycotoxins cause physical and neurocognitive neuropsych symptoms. EMF can trigger mold and fungal colonization in the body, anywhere, in the gut, in the brain, as a sort of fascial override. I mean, it's interesting to see those autistic kids who had the mold infections appearing on their skin, where they would appear, armpits down the arm, and just, next to the starting at the descending colon, and just recognizing that these poor kids have these fungal colonizations that are breaching the gut barrier, leaky gut, and reaching into the system. And the skin is trying to push it out. I mean, that's the objective reality of what's happening with this systemic fungal infection that, as we know, reaches out just like a web, just like neurons, just like spider webs, fascia. Mold is reaching out and overriding, perhaps, utilizing the fascial networks or the neural networks in the body to do it on opportunistically. So yeah, Dr. Klinghardt, he's one of the guys who studied this stuff. He says that 1 inch of black mold produces 20 to 40 mycotoxins, which are the neurotoxins again, in 24 hours, 20 to 40 in 24 hours. But when they're exposed to Wi-Fi, 2,000 mycotoxins were produced, showing the incredible influence that having frequency in a house that's infested with mold would have. Hauntings are really common. You know how they use EMF meters to read
paranormal activity,
spiritual, yeah, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
I get into that a little bit more, but these are important things to like kind of link together and witness as a puzzle, because this is how the creeps work from my understanding in these realms. And if you can move to the next one when you get a chance.
It's just crazy to think about, because I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we at least publicly knew that these kinds of EMF things were happening in our environments, and now you're talking about a doctor that studied this, and he showed an insane increase in the growth of this stuff within 24 hours. You're talking about that could put someone down like that. Someone that's super sensitive to that kind of stuff, boom, you're down. And people wouldn't have any fucking idea what exactly was causing it necessarily. That's why we're having this conversation. Not that we're the only ones that are having this conversation. That's why this conversation is super important, and then tying it into all of the different frequencies that we're now being bombarded with.
Nobody took that doctor seriously for a while, but now there has been further research on it, and they're kind of admitting it. But yeah. So clear research examples that molds are highly sensitive to electromagnetic fields. Studies showed exposure to any type of EMFs over a course of a month can make mold and bacterial grow at an exceptional rate. The mold spores grow an average of 600 times their regular rate due to the radiation exposure, as well as triggering increased mycotoxin and neurotoxin production. So not only is the mold in your home going to grow a lot faster, it's going to be a lot more toxic, which means you're going to be more neurotoxic, which means you're going to have neurocognitive effects or effects, damage to your autonomic nervous system. There's a multitude of things that can happen with mycotoxins. It's no bueno. So if you're in mold, I sincerely urge you to begin to consider how you're going to mitigate any wireless in your home, and get a dehumidifier. There's places to start with that. I've got a ton of books and references on mold mitigation too. If anyone's interested, I can send that picture out. But
right. And there's also like when we were in Pennsylvania, there was a basement. There's also things you can like hang in your closet, and then there's also like little things, I don't know, it just kind of captures the moisture. Now they only last so long because it'll capture all the moisture, and it's insane how fastly they get water. But to think that much water is like in the air of a space, especially in less lit areas like basements and stuff like that. But then some of these places where it's just taken off, and everybody's got Wi-Fi, like in apartment complexes and old buildings, you gotta be prepared. But somebody did ask about whether or not dehumidifiers work, and
Yes.
They are helpful in this, but they're not the cure all. You're not just gonna fight the mold by getting a dehumidifier. They will help though.
They
Well,
do.
sure that you change them out because they fill up, like you were saying, they fill up really quickly. Those dehumidifiers, because we had to have one in the apartment, and let me tell you, I had to change it every hour.
Yeah,
And
gallons.
Filter.
I'm not kidding you, a gallon at a time.
Yep.
And it was about every hour or so. So I'd have to set my alarm even in the middle of the night because we had to leave it on all the time. And it was in our bedroom, one of the bedrooms. We had to move my daughter. It was in my daughter's room. We had to move her out of that room. And then it was a nightmare. And then those bags that you're talking about, we have them downstairs in our basement because we live by the water down here too, and it's a basement. And
Right.
so, but those fill up really fast too, and it does get kind of expensive. But you'd be shocked if you do it to see how much water really is in the air. It's insane.
Gallons.
Yeah, and you can get those at most. I mean, you can get them on, Amazon, but I think we get them at like just local stores. I don't know if you get them at grocery stores, but Target probably has them, Walmarts and stuff like that.
They're pretty cheap. Like one, depending on the size that you're trying to dehumidify, you're just going to spend like between $100 and $300. But they're so effective.
That's the machine though, right? The dehumidifier machines.
The dehumidifier machines, they help. You can set the humidity that you want in your living space. Ideal humidity is about 40 to 50% humidity, because over that is when mold just starts to really love it and starts to do its little spore shooting bullshit. But why can we what
happened? I don't know. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, it's technology. It took over. Anyway, there's the machine. But if you want to test, like, you can go get the packages. They're basically just like I said, like, you can get ones. We had them on hangers where you hang it in your closet, or you have like a bucket and it has some kind of like whatever is in it pulls the moisture out of the air. You will watch this thing fill up, and you'll have an understanding of how much moisture is in your space. And if there's a lot, then a dehumidifier might be a good idea.
Absolutely. And you can get the little barometer. What are those called when they measure hydrometer? Yeah, they measure the humidity levels in the air for just a couple bucks for like hydrometer. Just these little things. Oh, I don't know if you could see that, but
wait, let's see.
Shit.
Oh, that's funny. We caught you on that. You're live, and that's forever on the internet that you dropped that. Anyways,
you saw me fumble with that telescope,
and you got shit on the first time you ever came on a Booma Streama by your chicken. Okay, so how do you say that thing again?
This is a hygrometer. And it will tell you the humidity level. Right now, our humidity is 53. And that's too high. But I'm not going to turn on the dehumidifier because it's loud. That's the shitty part about them. And then 81 degrees. So you don't want high heat and high humidity at the same time, because that's what mold loves. It loves the water and the moisture. And if it's got a starch or a sugar to feed off of, you got a problem.
Yeah, and it loves that Wi-Fi. Ooh, boost that Wi-Fi in your place. Yum, 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 yum.
Exactly. So in the last 20 years, the measured density of electromagnetic fields that are continuously continuously exposed to has risen significantly and is now several million times higher than it was just 10 years ago. So yeah, mold problems, autism, fungal infections, mold colonization in the sinus cavity, structural mold issues, and weird stuff happening with farms is all being influenced by these fields that are several million times higher than they were 10 years ago. And our bodies are trying to, adapt and overcome, but that's a lot of work. Metabolically speaking, our bodies are symptomatic because we're trying to adjust and adapt to these levels. and these new burdens, these new fungal burdens.
Right, which is also, I think, part of the program of human augmentation, where they're
100%.
getting nano and stuff and see how we respond to the increase in frequencies and the changing environment that's happening faster than we've ever. I don't know what it was like if you said there's resets and different things that happen, different civilizations. I don't know. But as far as modern times go and what we understand is the history that most of it's probably alive, but whatever we can get from it, this is happening so fucking fast. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that I grew up, that all of us, at least here, grew up with no cell phones, no internet. It wasn't until late in my high school, I think, is when we first started creating like websites and stuff. But like, it wasn't really a big thing. And now here we are. I mean, it happens so freaking fast.
It's distressing.
Right. And as it says here, different species of mold respond differently to different fields. Not every frequency has the same effect. And so, I mean, I guess it all depends on the environment and stuff like that. But we're talking about living spaces, and they build these freaking living spaces in ways where they're not built to last. Like, let's just say that. Anyways, the variability tells us that EMFs are interacting with fungal biology in complex but very real ways.
And that's the shit they're studying in the catacombs underneath the universities and shit, no doubt. It's just that, the geomancy, the necromancy, the erythromancy, the technomancy, that's that realm. It's a dark realm of spores and wavelengths, and it's nuts. It's crazy to think about. Cool time to be alive, though.
This was right on the internet as soon as it was a thing, man. That's a internet nerd for you right there. What's a plasma air scrubber? That's interesting. I don't know if I've heard of that. Do you know about that, Charlie?
No.
Right. What's a plasma air scrubber?
I don't know.
Air scrubber. You see this right here. This is interesting. I've never heard of this, and we're just looking at it like people would on Google Fingers, if you will. But let me pull this up real quick. I've never heard of this. Plasma air scrubber or plasma air purifier uses a bipolar ionization process to continuously neutralize airborne pathogens, allergens, and VOCs. Instead of trapping particles on physical filters, which you have to clean all the time when it comes with these things, and what I'm used to, it uses high voltage electrodes to generate positive and negative ions that break down the molecular structure of contaminants.
Right.
So I'd be curious to look into the companies that create this, who's the backers, and where the funding comes from. But that is interesting.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's sharing this, but I think this is the same just ionic air filters that they've been selling at Sharper Image for 30 years, but rebranded and repackaged with the word plasma on it to make it sound more effective and cool.
Interesting.
Marketing is an interesting field.
Right. It's worth looking into. I've never heard of that. Interesting. All right. Yes, mold is a network, nature's network. That's what we're tying a lot of this stuff to, and then how the frequencies are interacting with these networks and changing everything at a rapid pace, and things that need to be addressed as people start coming down with more and more strange symptoms. I'm hearing it more and more. The more I've shared Sabrina Wallace's work, you hear a lot of people that are more sensitive, a lot of people that are perhaps directly targeted for whatever reasons, coming in and complaining about all kinds of things. And these also need to be things that all of you that are on this channel that are following this material need to be looking into for yourselves. So people are always asking for solutions. There's no one quick solution. We're talking about molds and we haven't even gotten into the parasites, but EMF on the molds, the fungi, and the various networks that are in our bodies, that are in animal bodies, plant bodies, and all the things that grow within our homes and surrounding areas. So please pay attention. All right, where are we at in all this? All right. Are you ready to pull up the next one?
Yeah.
Here we go. This is important. Lots of stuff on this slide, but let's go through it.
Right. This was from the last thing I shared, but it's still relevant because we're just looking at, you know, objectively witnessing the threats we face living in 2026. And it's wise to be aware. Willful ignorance is not a good choice. Aware of your environment so that you can, innovate, adapt, and overcome, right? Adjust your sails and make some different choices so that you can protect your pumpkin and the brain inside of it, and the integrity of your mitochondria, so that you're not suffering from your physical and psychological, neurocognitive, and those sorts of things that really can take us out of our ability to be present with our families, to be helpful to one another, and to just have that fulfilled life from those things. So I believe God wants us to protect our temple. That doesn't mean perfection. Fuck perfection. Perfection is the enemy of awesome. Don't try it. You'll fail. So this is not an invitation to panic and try to just, look at every spot of mold as a threat and that sort of thing. These are systems and ancient things that have been happening to the human race since the get-go. I actually have scripture that references mold in the Bible and what they say biblically to do about it. But yeah, so this is just about awareness, about the sorts of things that can modulate your biology and neurology.
Right. And get a good screenshot of this if anybody wants to.
Washing of the feet.
What's that?
Washing of the feet in the Bible.
The washing of the feet. Washing your feet. When you're trying to reach somebody and you can't get through to them, and so he says to wash your feet and walk away. Or no, that's the dust off the feet.
Right.
It's also, I believe that he may have taught the washing of the feet because it's a way of cleansing the body through the feet.
And it's our grounding. If you're walking with bare feet on the ground or whatnot, the largest pores on the body are bottoms of the feet.
Oh, wow.
So you get detox through that, but you get the largest pores. So you're pulling, whether it's energy or whether it's nutrients, minerals, whatever you're getting from the ground that you're walking on. The largest pores are on the bottom of the feet. There's something to that for sure.
That makes sense, honey. I like that.
Good call.
That.
And that's
just putting your feet in like some sea salt or baking soda or magnesium sulfate or magnesium chloride crystals. You're going to be pulling stuff out through your feet and grounding simultaneously. So it's a great way if you're feeling like you're just holding on to a lot of charge from your environment or from being out at work or in the world. Just putting your feet in some warm water and salt will pull a lot of that out. Very settling. Plus the body just sucks up all that magnesium and all the minerals and it chills out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel that was a part of the lesson that Jesus was trying to teach us when he was teaching us the washing of our feet, others' feet. It was an important thing. And I think it was also linked to that,
Mm-hmm.
Very
Makes
important.
sense. He gave us everything we need to know.
I know. It is interesting too, because I guess the substances on the bottom of the feet, whether you're playing like sports and stuff like that, like I always obviously had sports shoes or whatnot. But you think about, we went from like walking on the ground to maybe moccasins to sandals. where you still had some connection to dirt and getting dirty and whatnot. So it's important to clean your feet. And now we're wearing socks and rubber soles that keep us from grounding to the earth. And then you end up with, athlete's foot fungus and stuff like that when you're.
And that's not foot fungus. That's like Charlie had explained. That's the body overwhelmed and it's showing signs on the outside now. It's fungus, but it isn't, it's coming out at the foot. That's why you can put as much as you want on it. It's still not cleaning and killing it because it's the inside that needs it.
Well,
Yep. You stop eating sugar and stop eating starch for a while. Maybe do a short term like keto or carnivore or whatever you want to call it type diet. Like when you do this with autistic kids, the fungus pulls back. So it would make sense for athlete's foot. It would start doing the same. Now the trick is staying away from sugar and starches because our bodies get addicted to them. And just like as exampled with autistic children, you pull the starches and sugars away from their diet and they get ragey for a while until their body clears out some of that angry fungus that's complaining and starving to be fed. It's wild how it can just influence our neurology by sending out stress signals it's wild.
all right. What do we got? Let's see.
And Liz was talking in the chat earlier about yeast, and so was Crystal the other day, just brewer's yeast, how prevalent that is in our diet. And the American standard diet is, it's just horrific, the amount of starch and sugar that they want us to ingest. And I think that's very deliberate. I think that they need us feeding these colonies of fungal networks in our body because that's how they can influence us. That's how they can neuromodulate us, not only by, of course, influencing us with just the frequency would have an effect. But imagine using like the binary forces of a synthetic neuronal overlay and frequency. I mean, that's a fucking powerhouse. And metamaterials, nanomaterials, the heavy metals that cause damage to the tissues when they are hit with frequencies, because the metals heat up. And when they heat up, when they're hit with microwaves, they damage the tissues surrounding wherever they're deposited, which is often in the brainstem and often in the liver and often in the reproductive organs. So we're causing damage to those tissues when we're in frequency fields if we are loaded with those metals, and that would have neuromodulatory effects as well. Once again, another great reason why mitigating frequency, at least in your home, is a great idea, because you give your body time and space to heal and recover, which it needs. So it can go back to homeostasis while you're sleeping, and the mitochondria can properly communicate and release, rest and digest and heal. You know me, I'm always talking about mitigating frequency, but it is this important. And I thought this was a great way to sort of really get real sober-minded about perhaps the means and the method of influence that they're exploiting. They know we love sugar and they know we love smart tech. We're addicted to both, right? So
we are indeed.
So yeah, most modern diseases are due to oxidative stressors. Oxidative stressors are things like EMFs, mycotoxins, even like psycho-emotional stressors, like living in a stressful situation or fear can cause oxidative stress. or anger. And then heavy metals, mercury, pesticides, industrial waste, all of those things are oxidative stressors. And what that means is that they produce a neuroinflammatory effect and a neurotoxic effect. Neurotoxins cause things like anxiety, depression. Can anybody in this chat, in this room, like say they haven't had anxiety and depression? I don't know anybody anymore who doesn't, you know, have some degree of at least those.
Right. And notice, I mean, not that we would notice, but you wouldn't hear a lot of the older generations complaining about this. When I was younger and I started having panic attacks, I didn't even know what anxiety, I didn't know the term. I didn't know it until a doctor put me on acne medication and said that I have suicidal thoughts and depression. Now, I had a best friend that his older brother had killed himself, but I didn't know personally what it really meant to have suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts. I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what the terms were for I just called it the invisible enemy. But all of a sudden, we have generations since then, maybe mine and maybe a little earlier or whatnot, but generations now where it's pretty much every fucking kid has ADHD, anxiety, depression, panic attacks. They can't socialize the same way. And now it feeds the medical system and pharma.
And that's also how they're collapsing the old education system, because schools cannot afford to keep up with these specialized programs as they're the demographic of the neurodivergent students just continues to snowball. They can't keep up with it. And it's not just the neurodivergently diagnosed children, but the rest of them all have sincerely deep tech addictions, screen addictions. And even the most seasoned teachers now can't access them. They can't get through to them. They're like Sabrina said, the freaking malrevolution is here, and they got real dirty with this by neuromodulating them into it, you know?
It's freaking crazy.
Isn't it?
You guys are adding some really great stuff. I had no idea that Philip Morris, a cigarette company, bought Lunchables and spent billions in research to put the same addictive chemicals in them as in cigarettes. They add so much shit. Like, I've heard so much stuff about like nicotine, like it has like a lot of positive effects, but the added chemicals they put in everything. Are we really addicted to the nicotine? Or are we addicted to the other shit that they add to everything, including foods, including all this stuff? That's how, I mean, that's a business model. I mean, I guess I get it from a money-making perspective.
100%.
Look up Mandela. They own everything. Pepsi and Coke are owned by the same company. It's just ridiculous. You've dove into that before in the past, I'm sure, Dorian, on one of the podcasts. It's all owned by the same place. Nabisco,
right.
Yeah, all of it.
Right. The media is owned by basically six companies, and then you got Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola owning basically all the food and drink, ready to drink kind of products that you'll see in stores, even if it has a different label on it, or if it at one point was owned by like a mom and pop or something like that. If you look closely on the labels, you will find owned a Coca-Cola, or you'll find it somewhere in there or whatever, where these companies buy it all up.
Yeah,
all
because
these
they're
big
companies.
Yep, same with the disc. And then I think Nestle's owned by one of them. Like even the bigger ones are getting owned by the
water too.
giants, if you will. Monopolies everywhere.
So our power company here in Maine is called Central Maine Power, and it's owned by a company in Italy. I mean, in Spain. And when you research the number one shareholder, it's Vanguard. Our electric company.
Yeah.
They got it all.
Right. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, almost everything. Got a hand in it.
Aim Dubury just said, I think of the neurotoxins in plastic, and we are surrounded by plastics.
Yeah.
Yes, but let me present a theory I have about the hyperfixation on microplastics right now. Definitely toxic, definitely not great, but why aren't we focusing on frequency at all? You know, that I feel like the microplastic conversation is the decoy for the metamaterials, the fungus, and the frequencies. Not that they're not harmful. I don't think we should fuck with plastic. It's on my list of shit to not fuck with. Just like mold, just like frequency. No thank you. But I don't think it's as big of an issue as the fungus and the frequency and the metamaterials. I had a friend whose mom just passed away of breast cancer, and she was just all distraught for months because, well, if her mom hadn't used plastics, then she wouldn't have died of breast cancer. And so to me, that told me that all the ladies' magazines that my very sweet but very traditional friend was reading was confirming for her in all of the, you know, system-owned periodicals for women that microplastics were what were fucking with their family. Not vaccines, not metamaterials, not frequencies, not these very real things that cause measurable effects. Microplastics. Just food for thought. Like I said, I don't fuck with plastic. It is neurotoxic.
Right. It's just a massive focus on it, and there's almost always a reason. Yes, bad, but and it's funny because like it's not funny, but it's like I worked at Starbucks and like they started getting rid of straws, but then they started creating like plastic lids for the cups or whatever, so that have like a sippy cup kind of a being able to consume it. I don't know what that plastic's made of, but that was just as much, if not more, plastic. Now then they made a lot of dramatic, and it's horrible watching like the straws up like the turtles' noses and stuff like that when they started. So that's horrible because there's plastics all over in the sea, and it's ruining sea life everywhere. It needs to be cleaned up. It could be done. They need to do it. They don't for a reason, but they bring attention to these kinds of things. Look over here while we're dealing with like a lot of different things, but maybe right now, especially with the technology boosting up as fast as it is like what Charlie's talking about, the EMFs, the radiation, all these other things that are coming into play to boost every other toxin that we have already out here.
It's a great decoy.
Here's the play though. Look, like they're trying to sell us, oh, you need to take all these supplements. You need to take all this, you know, Zeolite or whatever. They want us to consume things, to purchase things, because to make ourselves feel better, because we all feel like shit. Everybody feels like crap because we're under an oxidative burden, a very real one that has been issued through the wireless frequencies. So we feel like crap. We're looking for answers, alternative answers to the big med situation. And there's this massive market that is marketing directly to us people who want natural solutions and are fearful of, you know, the mainstream market. So we've gone to the Whole Foods market, the supplemental market. And a lot of people are hurting themselves with that shit. A lot of these things that are being marketed to us are not necessarily nefarious, but when improperly taken are harmful. And people don't know because they're scared and they're desperate and they don't want to go to the hospital. So they take a ton of something that hurts them just as bad. So it's a tricky position to be in right now. But I think the answer lies in not looking for answers external to purchase, but mitigation, simplification of your own environment.
Absolutely.
Because then your body will have the opportunity to deal with the toxic burden, the oxidative stress, and move it through. But that requires a definite mindset change, some deliberate discipline, and some grace for yourself too, because it's tricky. It's hard. But we have to adjust to the sales, especially those of us who have kids and elderly people who depend on us. We can't be, you know, just as retarded as they are, you know. My dad couldn't do shit right now without help, you know. Kids don't know what they're doing here. Most of them are addicted to screens. It's kind of us, the boomers and millennials right now, who have this window of responsibility, of obligation to just be like, hey, my brain is still capable of witnessing objective reality fairly well. I'm not in fear, so my discernment's okay. This is what I'm seeing. What do you guys think? And then work together to come up with some, with a better plan. Like Sabrina says, just a better plan than just sitting there plugging our ears or consuming ourselves to death, binge watching, you know. Yes, Sam, God helps those who help themselves.
Right. And people should be binge watching this.
Damn straight.
But ascension symptoms, Batman don't want none of that. It's augmentation symptoms, Robin. Dumbass.
That's right.
Augmentation. That is what we're talking about with all the shit that happens to the human body and our world around us, plants, animals, and everything. Here we are.
Yep.
And then you got this next one. You're not fucking ascending. Did you create this? Did you create this?
Yeah. I desperately want to write this book.
Oh my
God. It's not fucking demons. You're not fucking ascending. Chill out.
Charlie, you need to write that book. You need to make that happen.
Oh my
That's
God.
a great cover. I love it.
And right now, literally right now, we're about 37 minutes into Sabrina at the first Ohio class. I believe I believe that they started at 7, maybe 6. I can't remember. But anyways, she's doing the Ohio class right now. But I just think as we're doing this and stuff like that, I was just like, man, we got to get Charlie and Sabrina together and have some of these conversations, because you guys are like on the same fucking level when it comes to. You wonder why Sabrina is so pissed off. It's because no one fucking like this is it. Like this is the kind of shit. And I fight against the grifters and the people that are telling you we're going to FID and all this horse shit where you're ascending. All those are just the symptoms, ascending symptoms. No, you're not fucking ascending. This is what's going on.
That's such successful marketing to a demographic of people who is so ensnared with the world, to tell them that these feelings that they're having make them special. You know, they want to feel special in this world. They're seeking their praise in this world, their successes in this world, and not the higher values that, you know, most people in this community are trying to attain. Just that sort of that community, that authenticity, and that collective, our small collective witness of our perceptions of objective reality, to try to shake out as clear a picture as we can so that we can all move forward together. You know, forward together.
We need to make that book happen. Just throw it together real fast. No problem. I'm sure it's all in your brain right now, and you just need a and it just be a simple presentation like what you have here. Sell the shit out of that. Not for necessarily money purposes, but we get it out to the people. You know what I'm saying?
There'd be so much cussing.
Oh, I love it. Like a sailor, like what we're freaking doing right here. You know, bring it on, Captain. Arr! Schwab the fucking deck.
Have the bitches walking the plank.
Yeah, that's we probably we have a lot of bitches walking those plank, and if we were actually take care of like the situation we have all over the world, but here in America, we need to walk a lot of motherfuckers off the plank.
Fair.
All right, here we go. So we're talking about oxidative stress right into this one, and go for it.
Oxidative stress. Did you put something up? Because I can't see it on my screen.
Well, that's unfortunate. It's on the screen, right, everybody? We're talking about oxidative stress and imbalance of free radicals, metabolic waste, toxins, and antioxidants in your body that leads to cell damage. You don't see that?
Gotcha. I don't, but I have it here anyway, so.
Okay, so this is from Science Direct. The fear defense system, emotions, and oxidative stress.
Fear defense system, emotions. Oh, shit. Okay.
It's got the formation of free radicals where it's got like.
Okay, it's got the little smiley face guys.
Yeah, so healthy atoms,
Okay.
free radicals, and antioxidants.
That's just basically an informatic of oxidative stress for anybody who was unclear about what that is. It's just basically a toxic element entering your body and stealing from your healthy cells. And then antioxidants go up to them and they offer them exactly what they were going to steal, because antioxidants are very polite. And then it neutralizes the free radical, which is basically missing an electron and seeking one. So free radicals form from, different things: inflammation, metabolism, radiation, mycotoxins, lots of different oxidative stressors, anger and fear being one that Sabrina talks about a lot, because and points out how neurotoxic it is to the whole system. The maladaptive activation of the fear defense system is an essential contributor to inflammation and oxidative stress. So when they put us in fear and anger, which they're always fixing to do, which is why I prefaced this podcast with saying, like, my intention is not to cause fear or panic. This is just an adult conversation, trying to witness our objective reality so that we can move forward. But the fear defense system is being activated constantly for everybody.
Right, and that's what you have with the media, but you also have it, I think, with these frequencies. They've tested this on like riots, large gatherings. They've been able to manipulate the emotions of people. I mean, in J6, they were shooting them with freaking beanbag guns and gassing them and stuff like that. So there's the obvious ones that they use, but they've literally used frequencies to enrage people in order to get them to do stupid so that they can attack.
Red Rwanda, right?
There you go. But don't worry, because we have Liz that's going to volunteer to prod them with a stick off the fucking plank.
So in Rwanda, like, I'm not sure about this, but was there a vaccination rollout that preceded the electromagnetic attack, or was it were they just dusted with metamaterials previously? Because like we were saying, those heavy metals and those metamaterials have an affinity to hang out in the brainstem. If you want to neuroagitate somebody, fill their brainstem with metals and hit it with frequency. They're going to start hitting their head against the wall, just like these poor autistic kids are doing constantly, just trying to make the neuroinflammation chill,
Right.
So I'm not saying that's the method of action in Red Rwanda, but I do wonder. It's one of those things I think about by myself.
Well, all we can do is sometimes wonder, because we really don't know, because there's so many different vectors of attack that they're using against us, and all they do is fucking lie. All the world leaders and peoples that have a large stage, all they fucking do is lie.
Yeah.
There's a point to that, because then when no one knows what to believe, then the operation is complete. But we still have critical thinking people out here that are trying to figure it out, and everything's on the fucking table when it comes to this shit, because there's also people being juiced up with all kinds of whats and what is being put into them. But it's not just them being affected, it's what the antenna from them and their transmission into us is also doing, along with the Wi-Fi and the EMF and the different frequencies that are being pushed on us from all over the different vectors.
Mm-hmm. It becomes then our responsibility to, like Crystal says, de-escalate, right? We need to make sure that we don't get knocked off our center in an era that is trying to knock us off our center in every way possible. They need us destabilized and anesthetized. Anesthetized? They need us sedated, because every successful operation, difficult operation, requires that the patient be anesthetized, right? This is a massive operation. They need us pacified, sedated, anesthetized while they move forward, changing the whole damn world. At least that's my perspective. Seems to be what's happening.
Well,
oh, sorry, Heather.
If you think about like what they do to bees, like before they want to move them or something, what do? They smoke them. They get them all drowsy, and then they have to, you know what I'm saying? They can manipulate and do what they need to. That's exactly what I was thinking when you said that.
Yep. Wild.
Right. This is some of the stuff that you get from old Blackbeard juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Whatever the name of that character is in Pirates of the Caribbean, then he came in there. The way that juice just came out of his mouth in that opening thing. Yeah, that's yes, but he's always letting people know that they're shitting that stuff all over us every day, all day, every day. Okay, what do we got next? We
kind of went over this.
Not necessarily people here, but this is what we're talking about when you're talking about trying to fight the oxidative stress and the stuff that they're putting in what they call food, which is not really food, but it definitely tastes good because it's fucking drugs and chemicals.
And, you know, let's assume that it's not loaded with metamaterials for a moment. It's still loaded with sugars and starches that are fuel for the molds and myceliums. And that's what all
the chemicals too that are in them.
Exactly. But even without the chemicals, this would be an effective way to feed the fungal networks. But I agree with you. I mean, we've done the experiment with a neodymium magnet and Cheerios to see if the iron filings would come to the side, and they do. So there's definitely iron shavings in cereal. Because it's iron fortified, right? It's iron enriched. Yes, the goy slop. Yeah, beyond that, you know, all of the food dyes that we're allowed to still use in the United States, but not allowed to use in the UK and Europe. Red dye number 40, whatever. I mean, again, I don't see these things are as bad in the whole as things like vaccines, frequencies. Those are the real antagonists. These suck. These suck. But these are not the actual they're carcinogenic, but they're not as carcinogenic as living in a frequency field.
What about these? Oh lordy.
Delicious, you know, but these were just pictures to slide through because of the fact that I'm just appalled how they want us to make sure that we're constantly feeding our children these steady amounts of sugars to perhaps continue to feed the little fucking beast mycelium networks that are living inside of them and modulating their behavior, making them addicted to sugars, addicted to tech, just giving them that, you know, that vacuous look in their eyes from low key but chronic brain inflammation. It makes you look like a zombie. We see it everywhere. So yeah, the next couple pictures are just candy too, but I was just sort of trying to example how we market these things seasonally, the same shit, but in different color wrapping to make sure the people are consuming these. And once again, let's say that Hershey's wasn't putting heavy metals and metamaterials in their products. Even so, the sugar is enough to feed a mycelial network and cause neuroinflammation.
Oh, I love
These cereals are delicious, though.
Some Reese's
I get it.
Buttercups. Those bastards. Those
They're
bastards.
so good. They're so good.
Too
They're
good.
I love it all.
And then
Yeah.
you think about the lovely pagan holidays that we have where we give these to our children and stock up and then tempt ourselves. Jelly beans. Oh, dear Lord. Myconite. Oh, Lordy.
And
Help
then our
me.
and then you know, I mean, they don't so much now, but they just filled our mouth full of metal. Like my mouth is full of metal from when I was a kid eating that crap.
Mhm.
And I'm having issues now with those too. They won't remove the metal out of my mouth either. But I heard it's really expensive to do that anyway. But I wanted dentists wouldn't even do it. And then they're using that too. It just seems pretty logical that if you're got a mouthful of metal, that it might even be easier for you to hear things like forced skull and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much the mercury perhaps, but the alloy, the rest of the metal that would be super conductive. Why some folks can hear like radio stations in their head when they have a metal plate or a.
Well, they don't have to disclose those types of metals. That's the other problem. The same thing with jewelry. When you're making jewelry, you have a certain amount, a percentage that you have to run with, but all those other alloy metals, other than the gold or platinum or whatever it is, well, platinum's a little different, but with the gold especially, it can be anything. It doesn't, literally anything. So I'm assuming that that's the same thing for the stuff they put in your mouth and everything. You have no idea. They do not have to disclose it because it changes all the time. Depends on what's the cheapest on the market, is what they told us in jewelry. They couldn't specify anything because people would ask. Especially because of the nickel allergy, and they don't really allow that. They're a very, very small percentage. But what kind of shit is in my mouth?
I mean, it's a valid concern. I think about like how Juxtaposition talks about how he's got all his metal, his pins. I'm not sure if it's from like biking accidents or what, but he said that he's got a lot of different metal. I'm not sure where, if it's like his neck or his leg, but that he's not real happy about that because he's living in these frequency fields and those metals heat up in those microwave frequencies and cause oxidative damage to the surrounding tissues. So hopefully he's hardwired, you know, might as well remove insult from injury.
And when I think of that, you know, the word oxidation, just going back in the days, if you remember when your battery cables on your car got turned white, we called it corrosion. It was oxidation. So it's like a form of corrosion, but internal.
Yeah, perfect. Perfectly said. Yeah. And that corrosion is a toxic burden and your systems suffer. All of our livers and kidneys, you know, they deserve a little bit of attention because they're trying to filter out a lot of work. So, and it doesn't take much. And one of those things is like, don't go out and buy supplements. Don't fall into the marketing traps that they're exploiting your fear. Oh God, this mold, I've got to buy this. I've got to, oh, the frequency, I've got to buy this. Or you know, my pain, I've got to buy this. Don't buy into that stuff. See what you can do just by simplifying, empowering yourself with a little bit of discipline, saying maybe I'm just going to do, you know, a 12-hour fast from the last time I ate the night before, and just drink a bunch of water one day. Maybe I'm going to deep breathe and put my feet in the grass. That kind of stuff makes so much more of a difference than buying into just like a supplement's going to fix it. You know, those little changes that we can make, not sleeping next to your cell phone at night. This is all free shit. You know, what they're trying to sell us is so disempowering because we have so much agency to mitigate the threats that we face. And I love Sabrina for really trying to reach people with that, because people are so fucking stuck in their, there's analysis paralysis. There's some, you know, there's definitely trauma, fear, panic. And there's also just, you know, just that apathy, just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat Skittles till I die. And I get that, I do, but I have a kid, so I can't. And I have elderly, you know, loved ones, so I can't. So, you know, I'll be 50 next year, and it's time to really embrace that position in my world, in my relationships, of, you know, somebody who's not going to hide, because it's too overwhelming for the elderly and it's too terrifying for the children. So it's on us to, you know, with joy and lightness and lots of jokes, look at the hard shit and find solutions that are free and real and effective. That's my whole passion.
And hold ourselves accountable, because, like, you know what you were saying, once you know, you kind of can't anymore either. You know, I mean, I so bad want a bag of Skittles. You had to bring Skittles up. I was a candy person.
I love Skittles. I still would eat the shit out of them if I get them.
I just can't, because I know better now, Dorian.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It took me a while to grow up.
That was the temptation. We had a bunch of different sweets and cereals on the screen, so you guys all in the chat need to calm down, because we're all calling out, oh god, I love them. I can't help it. Sometimes I gotta have my peanut butter crunch, and some of these things we're talking about. I used to love Captain Crunch, not the peanut butter kind, and it tore the shit out of my mouth, Sam, but I still love the shit out of it. I'll come back for another one, even though my mouth is burning for the rest of the day.
Oh,
give me that drug. Give me that drug.
You know what? And I think that's, once again, perfection is the enemy of awesome. It doesn't mean you have to be scared of any of this shit. God, that's the worst case scenario, that we're scared of mold, that we're scared of frequencies, that we're scared of processed foods. These things are not great for us, but panic is not the answer. We can't slip into a paranoia and a panic of everything's trying to kill me. We have to be more grounded than that. We need to observe that perfection is impossible. And a lot of people decide they're not going to take any action because they can't be perfect. And they feel like, well, if I just had more money, or if I just this or just that, I could do better. There's always something excuses, right? In the end of the day, that, you know, I had to like really reach out of myself, really just dispose of, because it's so stagnating to embrace powerlessness, like, and that seems to be the trend.
Right. D Menace is saying now we're gonna have Candy Anonymous will be on Mondays, as well as Bible study at 7 p.m. if you're connected to Crystal. Oh man, I know we're all getting triggered right now. We're working on it together as a community. And there was somebody that came in, I think maybe had just joined more recently or whatnot, asking for solutions on how to get this stuff out of your body. Well, some of it's not in our body necessarily. Well, it is, but we're working on things that are affecting it within our body, the networks, the EMFs, the radiations, the Wi-Fi's, the various things that are enhancing this, and then all the stuff that's going on with this plan that seems to be rolling out with the agendas. They're jabbing kids more than they ever have, and they're always flirting with another pandemic, it seems like, but who knows? Maybe they're just going to desensitize us until they've cried wolf so many times that we don't believe them when it actually happens. Then when it happens, it's going to be bam. They're going to hit us with something. Who knows?
Here's the psyop though, because they want us destabilized for that, but they also want us to feel like the comment said, like, how do I get it out of me? They want everybody to feel infested. That's become abundantly clear to me through, entertainment, through the imagery they're showing us. Yes, the 80-20 rule is everything, Robin. I love the 80-20 rule. That's 80% you try to do a good job and 20% you fuck around. I love that ratio. It works for me. What was I saying?
Well, we're talking about solutions and stuff, but a lot of people have been given various solutions. But this is what we do as a community, because not everybody's the same. Not everybody's in the same situation, living conditions, where you're at, the amount of humidity, the stuff that you're dealing with. Everybody has a different situation, but as a community, we work together. If you're having certain symptoms, or your child's having certain symptoms, or a family member is, you bring it to the community. Somebody might have that experience and have an idea, better of what they experience and how to better manage or mitigate the situation that you're in.
Yes, to move forward wisely and not fall into fear marketing.
Yep.
Because that's what I was saying. Get it out, get rid of the parasites, get rid of the mold, get rid of everything is contaminating us, and everyone's got contamination OCD now too. I mean, the masks, the hand sanitizer, destroying the microbiome. But everyone's wanting the anti-parasitic protocols, the kill it mindset, when our body is already a filter and an antibacterial force to be reckoned with. If you're supporting it, the liver will do what you're buying supplements to do if you're nice to your liver. Your kidneys will do what you're buying supplements to make them do if you support your kidneys. And that generally means lifestyle changes, and that's the answer nobody wants to hear, and that's okay. We all have to move at our own comfort zone, but our body is a really inexpensive way to feel better, and all you have to do is treat it better.
Just say fucking no
to
Skittles and the peanut butter crunch and the delicious peanut butter
80%
cup.
of the time.
80% of the time. Okay. This is
Check out
enabling.
how much mycotoxins are in peanut butter, Dorian.
Don't you even say that to me, honey.
Coffee too.
Stop it.
Beans.
I know, microtoxins, huh, in the coffee. They talk about that a lot too, with like the packaging of it and then the shipping of it and how long it's.
You can get mycotoxin. You can get mycotoxin-free coffee on Amazon, even.
On Amazon. How do you know it's real though? Because I feel like they're selling us organic shit that's not even organic anymore. It's just a fucking gimmick.
How would you be able to prove that?
Right, Charley, you need to invest. It's probably going to take it. You're going to have to sell your damn book where it was not fucking ascension symptoms. But how do you know? Do you have the lab? Do you have the decaf? Anyways.
Yeah, it's decaf.
What a wuss. What a wuss. Just joking. Caffeine's not necessarily the answer. Anyways, it's everybody's different. But how do you know though? You need to get it down to like being able to do a little microscopy, if you will, of your coffee beans.
They do. I mean, they do Swiss water process, low acid. I mean, it's a small company.
That's just how they get the caffeination out of it, though.
Or Dorian, you can clean your body, clean your fish tank, and it can handle some of it.
Boom. That's it, honey. The fish tank.
Can I still drink coffee?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. I hate the idea that we have to get rid of things in general. I think that.
So what I really need is a sucker fish, and I just swallow that thing, and it just goes around in my body and eats all the garbage.
Yep.
Let me know how that works out for you, Dorian.
If you could really do that, oh damn, that'd be awesome. It's like a fucking little friendly vacuum cleaner inside your body.
You try it first.
Do not try this at home, folks.
I'm gonna swallow a suckerfish, see what happens. I'll probably just barf. Poor suckerfish. I don't want to
Or when you'll like suck on the back of your throat as you're trying to swallow it, and it will just
do what they used to do and just get a bunch of leeches and do leeching every day or every other day or something.
Yeah, but can't you?
No.
What about the fish that eat the toxins off your feet? We just get the fish and then we'll soak our feet in
I
there.
can't. My feet are too sensitive. It would tickle too much.
I've never done it. I'm scared because my feet are so. I mean, they are so. Even if I do a massage or anything, you have to squeeze my feet a certain way and like get the tension out, and then you can touch my feet. You can't just do it. So I don't even know if I could handle it, and then I'd be like freaked out a little.
Yeah,
But I heard that it's good though.
Right. So we do a little chicory root in the coffee. We mix it in. So some of the coffee when we brew it here has half chicory root or whatever my dad decided on. It was a little too much at first for 50%, so I think it's a little less. But we do have chicory root now in the coffee.
Lemon, water, eat garlic, eat, the natural herbs, spices. That's what you do. Then you can eat a bag of Skittles.
What?
But
Don't tempt me, honey.
They still have to come out.
But because I'll get the family size and eat the shit out of it. Or I'll get a regular size original and a tropical fruit. That's how I roll. That's how I roll when I go to the movie theaters and watch a movie. I get me a big old Coke and some Skittles.
They made it green apple, and green needs to be lime like it was in the 80s. That's my favorite Skittle, the lime ones.
What? Fuck the lime one. I want the purple and red.
Ew, I don't like red.
What? You crazy.
I like green and yellow, purple.
I'll just give you all the green and red and yellow. I'll just take the freaking yes.
Yes.
Yes, we have a friendship here where we can divide the Skittles up appropriately and everybody gets high satisfaction out of it because I'll eat them, but I could eat them without any of the green and the yellow.
I'll take the orange one.
There you go. A win-win. All I want's the red and the purple, really.
All right. Well, all we gotta do is get to a movie. Let's go to the movies. We can.
Dawn D, what do you do to detox or to take care of yourself? Because we don't want to over detox. That's what Sabrina's also said. Detox. You can over detox. There's some people that got so obsessed with ivermectin, which only kills some parasites. It's not for every parasite, but they destroy their gut microbiome by taking it too much.
Well, I don't eat a whole lot of food anymore. I mean, I do like the Chobani yogurt, Greek yogurt. I'm doing somatic therapy, breathing, somatic exercises that helps regulate my nervous system. God knows I need it right now because they're fucking with me.
Right.
I make my own bread. So there's not all the chemicals in it. And I use like red something. It's a guy, red something flour. So it's, but again, it's,
I think it's red mill, right? Isn't it red mill?
Yep. Try to, I'm so paranoid with all the information over the years. It's like, well, how do I know what they say? But I read all the labels to make sure there's no bioengineered ingredients. So I really don't buy a whole lot of stuff in the middle aisles. I try to go to our local organic. They have like a co-op up here where they have organic food or, so yeah, I eat eggs. We get eggs from people that raise their own chickens. So that's how I get protein. Almond milk. I don't know.
You're trying things. That's what
Yep.
I love it.
And I loved peanut butter, peanut M&M, peanut M&Ms.
Don't tell honey that. She'll ruin it.
I used to buy the 7-pound bag for work, and it would last me a week.
Right,
So,
right.
but no, I don't do any candy anymore. Maybe some dark chocolate, but I try to drink tea. So yeah,
Cacao, baby.
cacao.
Cacao, baby.
Mhm.
Cacao. Yeah. Dark chocolate, baby. Oh, I thought honey was gonna say something about the peanut butter. Okay. All right. We and and Charlie, you thought this was gonna be like a 30-minute, 45-minute presentation. Come on now. Come on now. You know it was a Booma Streama.
Well,
You know,
I mean, I guess if I did it start to finish, but I didn't want to do it like that because there's so much participation that can happen with these topics, because everyone like has experience with mold or wireless frequencies, or
yeah, we're all learning about it.
We're all learning about it. We're listening to what Sabrina's saying and trying to put that into perspective.
Right.
This is just a cool area of little corner of the internet: mold, EMFs, hauntings, and altered perception. This is not to say that all hauntings are bullshit. I don't know, but we've got some stats coming up that really points to some big questions, especially given the fact that we use electromagnetic frequency meters to measure for spirit activity. But like we said earlier, both mold and EMFs are neuromodulatory because they are neurotoxic. They cause neuroinflammation, and neuroinflammation means altered perception, whether you're going to higher fear or anger or even hallucinations, audio or visual hallucinations. These things are all influenced by mold and frequencies, which, as we know, once again, frequencies have gone up hundreds of millions of times, and so has the mold epidemics in recent years, in the past 10 years. With those infestations in the autistic kids, again, just tying it all together, just how everyone's kind of in agreement over the fact that people aren't right? And we all have our different ideas about why.
Right.
WHY, right? And these are just some of the ways we can examine to see if they fit. But you can go to the next one.
Have you guys ever watched the show or heard of the video game The Last of Us?
Yes.
Yes, it's zombies, but they're fungal zombies. And the way that they portray it in both the video game and the TV series on HBO, not that I'm pumping it, but it's an interesting take because it's from, I get like they could be altering things or whatever and causing people's to become zombie kind of like things. And they maybe even had that in the playbook. Complan 8888, I think is what it was that some people were saying could have been a real plan. They were testing for it and whatnot. But the fungal zombies made sense in the way that they depicted that. Now, there was a lot of different monsters and stuff like that came up. But as far as fungus integrating into your neural network of your brain and therefore turning you into like something else and utilizing your corporeal form in your body to do things, it makes a lot of, it's freaky, but I just thought of that when we were talking about this, because who knows what's possible with some of these fungi, because they change rapidly too.
And you look at that show, The Last of Us, with the mold, and I think it was a slime mold that they used in the show, which is funny because the slime molds don't have the same mycotoxins, but whatever. Right. The West world, of course, has that big like tower thing in it too, right? That is controlling people with frequency. So between the mold in The Last of Us and the frequency that is neuromodulating the behavior of the people in the shows, there's grounds for, our presumption that these might be issues in the zeitgeist. So we have to take it all with a grain of salt too. But it is very, go ahead.
Is biofilm a form of mold or yeast?
The biofilm is usually the protective layer around the bacteria, mold, or yeast that it creates to protect itself from being kicked out. So usually, like, you get rid of biofilms by taking things like enzymes to help break that up, so that you can actually attack the critter that's lurking beneath the biofilm protective force field. And they can be tricky to get through. And sometimes the body does it on purpose because it, in its infinite wisdom, it knows that we can't handle the toxic load of the pathogen that it's sequestering. So, and sometimes those pathogens are beneficial too. They're a cleanup crew for oxidative damage, which is why we are so infested, I think, with things like mold and chronic bacterial infections, things like that, because there's no shortage of dead and dying tissue in our bodies, lots of oxidative stress and therefore oxidative damage. So we're going to have more cleanup crews, more bacteria and fungus coming in to help with that. Even parasites sometimes are helpful in reducing the dead and dying tissue. They can also be awful. Right.
And through this conversation, now we've identified what biscuits is called moldies. And we've talked about, and we've trademarked non-creatives. Just joking, we didn't trademark that. But we're calling for NCs to be our terminology for non-creatives. But there's NPCs. So you got, with Westworld, you got cloning talk. And you've got people that are completely controlled by these towers, NPCs. They just fall in line with whatever the hive mind wants them to do, which also includes mainstream media and all that kind of stuff to give them their cues, mind control, yada, yada. But now we also have moldies, where people could be being controlled by the fungus that's in their bodies, and it could be utilized by these EMFs. Laura brought up earlier, I have seen it where these like ants, I don't know if I've seen it in locust, but ants, like its whole like freaking body is like eaten up by this fungus, and it's still just going about its business like it's nothing's happening to it. It's fucking creepy, bro.
And then look at all the people at Target and then wonder, right?
Right. Is it like eating up their body, but it has a host that it doesn't want to murder, obviously. So yes, moldies I think could be very much a thing, and some of it obviously kills people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making light of that, but moldies could be a legit thing in the sense of the zombie idea, where it's like infested the neural networking, and now the EMF is being used to control these people.
Well, think of when there's riots and protests and things like that. And then they could just tap in, neuromodulate, make people more agitated. I'm sure that they would use that if everybody's got that in their bodies already.
At the very least, it makes us easier to neuromodulate.
Right. Yeah. It opens the door, doorway, if you will.
And
everything is, everything is a network, and then they can mesh networks, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they could do anything. You can make you angry, sad, or make you want to, be friendly. It can make you want to hurt other people. Just
we look at the massive growth of autism in recent years too, and I have a friend who's got a couple boys with autism that she has to keep away from the wireless routers because they get really agitated. So they now have no smart tech in the home because it induces, because they are easier to tip over because they're already in a vulnerable state neurologically, it induces that behavior. So if we witness the fact that an enormous amount of our population of youth are now considered neurodivergent, imagine what that means on the whole for their generation, that many of them are that perturbable, that easily agitated, that impulsive. They don't all need the neurodivergent or autistic diagnosis, but they are all suffering on the spectrum of some level of neuroinflammation that makes them more vulnerable to being impulsive or snapping, which is why that they keep pacifying that generation with addictions, video games, social media, and, sugar, of course, the ancientest addiction. Sugar was such the gateway situation for Americans and Australians and Canadians. It is how to develop the addictive mind early on, to prime it for a lifetime of pacification seeking, of self-soothing seeking. It's like they say, like that first hit of heroin, like you're always chasing that high that you felt when you were a kid. That's why we have such strong attachments to, for me, it's peanut M&Ms too. I'm with you on that. So, yeah, but that just primes the addictive brain for pleasure seeking. And there's nothing wrong with pleasure, but can y'all see like how they really engineered Western culture to be addicts?
Yes, overstimulation. Give you more, give you more. It's no matter how much, too much is never enough.
Yeah.
That's what they just want to feed those receptors constantly. They get how it works through all their disgusting studies that were probably unethical for years and years, and all the stuff that they do that no one knows about. They know how we tick a lot more than they're ever going to admit it.
And all the fidgets that they rolled out right before the beginning of the pandemic, because everyone's stim seeking, everyone's anxious. There's all kinds of fidget toys now, stim or sensory toys. Right before the pandemic too, it did not escape my notice that Crocs became cool. Sweats were in fashion. They were, dispensaries were opening up everywhere. They were preparing a place for us to sit in our own little cubbies, contentedly in our sweats, to self-soothe, to smoke weed, to just slip on our Crocs and get DoorDash. They were giving us permission as a culture to withdraw and degenerate. And I saw that just in the marketing. That was fascinating to me. I kept pointing it out to my husband, like, bro, why are they just like, why is everything like my outfits now? Like, because I'm all about Crocs and sweats and t-shirts, but then all of a sudden it was everywhere.
Yeah,
to me, like permission.
The kiddies love the Crocs too. These things have been turned into scratching posts. Oh shit, lost it. You can see the little claw marks they make. They love coming up and getting their claws into the Crocs. Little animals. The little beasts. All right. I wanted to share what Miss Cajones just shared in the Telegram. Here's another fun little something if you guys want to screen capture this to make you feel all good about how lead and cadmium get into chocolate products. That's just lovely. I mean, I thought dark chocolate was supposed to have antioxidants in it, so we were supposed to feel good about it, right?
It does. It has antioxidants, but milk chocolate is actually better for you because dark chocolate has high amounts of oxalates in it. I eat it every day, so I'm not preaching, but it's got a lot of oxalates in it. So if you have it with dairy, it'll bind to those oxalates because they cause a lot of oxidative damage in the body, make the tissues all thrashed up and hospitable to fungi and yeasts, which is why I think they've been pushing oxalates. I'll maybe if Booma ever lets me on again, I'll do it. I really would love to talk about oxalates and sugar as a binary weapon for for creating a hospitable environment for the fungus to take root.
Well, how dare you say that milk chocolate's better than dark chocolate, but of course I'm gonna have you back on. Come on now.
From a nutritional sense, it's better for you because you want the milk, the calcium in the milk, to bind to the oxalic acid so that it doesn't form calcium oxalate crystals and give you kidney stones and gout and fascia adhesions. That's that on that. I'll talk about it in a whole presentation if you want one day. You can geek out.
This is why we need. This is why you guys need Booma, because we need to have silly and jokes, because some of this is very sobering in a way that sober is good, but it is very. I'm a little sad.
I'm so sorry. I'm ambushing you with black pills. I'm like black pilling the living piss out of you.
Right, black pilling is the new thing, I guess. You know, just let us have it. Just let us fucking have it. All right. Do you really want the truth? Because Charley's gonna bring you the truth. Charley, swabbing the deck. Charley is the captain here.
I feel like such a villain. Damn it.
I haven't seen juxtaposition, so that's good. So we're still good here.
Oh my god.
I can't wait to send him that video, though. Anyways, moving on. Supernatural experiences are blamed on household mold, according to study. Well, they didn't spell mold right, but I guess we could trust it, right?
Well, no, that's how they spell it in the UK. They throw U's in randomly.
Oh, you UK people. Come on now.
Yeah.
That's mold.
They're all kinds of fucked up over there.
Right? What's going on?
I'm just kidding. So yeah, various environmental.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Various environmental phenomenon can play tricks on our brains. So these are just a couple articles of research on mold, toxic levels of mold in haunted old houses and buildings that report paranormal activity and sometimes measure strange electromagnetic activity. Breathing in fungal spores is known to not only cause respiratory but also neurological problems with symptoms like delirium, dementia, depression, anxiety, and irrational fears. Now, when we're in anxiety or irrational fear, we tend to believe what we're afraid of is real, is truth. But this is just sort of a call to always remember fears aren't facts. And there can be things influencing us neurologically and neuropsychiatrically, or our loved ones. And it behooves us to have a better idea about maybe some of the sources we're not thinking about. Like, it's probably not demons. It's probably not ascension. It's probably, it could very well be in your pocket. And I'll show you in a moment the levels of frequency that come out of the cell phones that we have in our pockets. They can influence how you feel greatly. So there's definitely a significant difference between mold presence in haunted places versus non-haunted places, with roughly 5 to 6 times more mold spores showing up in places that are reported haunted. So there's a definitive link. That's not to say supernatural activity is only mold. I don't think this, I think that we just need bigger questions at this point. Our paranormal experiences due to infrasound, gas leaks, toxic mold. 2021 study showed that mold inhalation caused neural, cognitive, and emotional problems in mice. Molds and fungus create mycotoxins as a defense mechanism, and exposure to those mycotoxins, like we said earlier, is linked to all these neurocognitive and perceptual changes. Visions of ghosts, demons, and apparitions, or things that we might hear. Is it maybe helping us hear into a different realm or see into a different realm? That's the question. I have no answers to that, but I'm just sort of pointing to the tie because there is a definitive link.
Look out for Charley wants none of this. Look out for Charley versus Charley. Not even a debate. Charley light housekeeping. Whoops. Look out for Charley.
Look out for Charley. I don't know who that is.
Look out. Look out for Charley. He's a guy out there. He does some decent work, but hasn't really been all that favorable towards Sabrina Wallace and some of the information that's put out there. He has different takes on things, which is fine. But I just like to throw a little prod out there. I'm trying to get you in as many wars as possible with people that are on the internet.
Thank you.
So
I
you're
fucking
welcome.
appreciate that.
Right. It's fucking awesome.
I
Dragging
really
you into all my grifter wars.
It's great.
I'm not saying look out for Charley's a grifter. I don't know enough about him, but he's a dick to Sabrina, and some of that information won't even talk about it. Dude freaking blocks like none other. Bam. Whatever. Anyways, so apparently he's all about the paranormal and the spiritual stuff, huh? It's all the demons. The demons. I'm not saying demons aren't real and all that kind of stuff, but some stuff, man, the manipulations that they do on us with some of these molds and fungus and stuff like that, and the EMFs, of course, like we're talking about. Let's not be so superstitious. It's just like psyops. So there's the psychological operation, and then there's the planted motherfuckers that take it to the next level. They take it to a level that's so extreme that most of the normies, if you will, won't ever take it seriously because it's so retarded. Well, there you go with this situation too, where everything's demons, everything's the witches, everything's the devil.
Yeah.
D Booma San uses AI. He's working with the devil. It's that kind of bullshit that I'm sick of. Grow up.
And they use the electromagnetic frequency machine, and mold, fungus, electricity, energy, always in different forms. We're not here to say what's going on. We're just here to say something's going on.
Yep.
They clearly know how to exploit networks of all kinds, neural networks, fascial networks, and mycelial networks.
Right. All right, what do we got here?
Oh, okay. This was just a gal this was just a Reddit thread that I thought was interesting because this gal thought that she was having a ghost in her environment causing mold. And the first response to it's like, your post is backwards. The mold is causing you to be paranoid that you think there's a ghost causing mold in your house. So this was just a nice example of how when we're in a situation where we're maybe not seeing reality correctly, maybe we've been infused with a bunch of Netflix that told us all about the demons and ghosts. And so that's the conclusion our subconscious mind jumps to.
Right.
The mold must be caused by the ghost, as opposed to the mold is causing neuroinflammation. Anyways, that's that on that. If people want to read that later, I just thought that was an interesting Reddit thread when I was poking around.
Right. As you scan this, and if people want to, if you're watching the video, you could reverse it, pause it, take a screenshot if you're interested in this. But yes, I mean, that's some of the stuff that frustrates Sabrina Wallace, because it's just like the stuff that she's talking about. You can be an atheist, you can have whatever religious belief you want, and we can still talk about the physiology, the biology, the bioelectricity. We could talk about the actual things that we're all encountering, regardless of your spiritual beliefs. Is there spiritual warfare going on? Yes, I believe so, but we don't have to make everything out to be some woo-woo. We don't know. It's beyond our abilities when we have so many tools and so much critical thinking, logical thinking that can be applied to these situations in order for us to have a better handle on things. That's what we're hoping to do here.
Yeah. Curiosity. It's important, and no fear. I think there's only a couple of things left that I sent you, right? Because this took forever.
No, you went ham.
I went too
So we
far.
got this, and then you do have a little video, and then there's just a couple more slides.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, this is just, pointing to the fact that the paranormal ghost hunters all use electromagnetic frequency meters to measure for paranormal activity, the presence of spirits or whatever. And we remember that most of these haunted locations have high levels of mycotoxins in their environment, much higher, 5 to 6 times higher than a standard home. So, and as far as the frequencies go, what are they picking up on? Are those networks, are those mycelial networks being exploited by the creep system, by the creeps, by the prince in the power of the air, by whatever you want to call it, which is why you're getting these surges in readings, because those mycelial networks in these haunted locations are being overridden by a system, a wireless system, or the prince of the power of the air, however you like to look at that.
Right. I didn't know so much about the infrasounds, but the low frequency sound waves below the bounds of human hearing, which if they use that against you, how would you know? Called infrasound, can cause people to feel and see ghostly presences.
Mm-hmm.
How long have they been using this to like play with us like puppets, where it's like, when you don't know certain like technology exists and stuff like that, you're more likely to think it's all this woo-woo stuff, all this, you come up with something from your imagination or whatever. But if they've been using this kind of stuff just to mess with us, then we have a inflated thought of what reality really is. And then you get these influencers out there that blame everything on something that is out of our power and control, make you feel fucking helpless, or they just steer you in the wrong direction. So take these things into consideration, critically think about it. That's what the community, that's what we're trying to do here, build a community so we can also talk about, and you want to believe is a beast. Yes, it's got to be doing a lot of work in the background. They could be doing this at all times to a degree.
Well, that's like the elves, right? The ELFs, the elves, the extremely low frequencies, the very low frequencies, the VLFs, but the elves, there's a pattern there, right?
Right.
Extremely low frequency and elves. What were they doing with that?
Right.
I don't know. Just another pattern.
All right. So is this meter video that you got? Did you do this?
Yeah. I did this for some of the gals in the ladies group who were interested about reading their own environments for electropollution.
Ooh, look, I did you like.
Thank you. This is just, I don't have a YouTube page, by the way. This is just a link. What is it called? A hidden link or whatever?
Unlisted, yeah. Unlisted,
thank you. Link. So I'll link it in the Telegram group if anybody's interested. But this is just taking the RF readings, the wireless readings off of a standard iPhone. It kind of speaks for itself. So
this is an older model though, so take it into consideration of how they've increased, because they no longer have the button now.
Yeah, we found it to be the same as some of the newer phones when tested next to each other as far as the frequencies. So
they've been juicing us ever since they brought these into our hands.
Oh, it's been bad. It's been bad, and it's been iterative, but they're turning it up.
Crank it up, fuckers. All right, let's see what happens here.
Hi, ladies. Okay, so now we're going to test both meters next to a cell phone. This cell phone is turned on airplane mode right now, so no wireless frequencies are coming through it, and that is reflected in both meters. This one's happy and in the green zone. This one's reading, because this one's much more sensitive and sophisticated. It's so we are picking up some frequencies from neighbors' wireless, from towers in the neighborhood, things like that. So it's showing an average reading of about 7 to 12, let's say, megawatts per meter squared. which is very low. Even though this thing is blinking moderate and high, this is looking for perfection, this meter. So don't let that terrify you too much. It's very difficult to get completely away from all Wi-Fi these days. So I'm going to turn the phone on, however, and I want you to keep an eye on these numbers and how both meters react when I just turn airplane mode off on the cell phone. Here we go. Both of them immediately freak out. We're maxing out at 2.5 million megawatts per meter squared here. I'm going to turn that back off. And let them calm down for a second. Yeah. So that number speaks for itself. You're cooking your pumpkin. We don't want that. And there are good ways to mitigate. So that's where we're trying to help everybody get. Again, you can see the difference in the meters. This one's a lot more sophisticated, but this one will tell you when there are dangerous levels of wireless fields in your living space, or your husband's pocket, or your kids' earbuds. They're all using wireless frequencies, and we don't want those things on our bodies or in our living space as much as we can help it. So this will help tell you, if I send this out, this will help tell people like where your problem areas are in your house. Maybe it's inside the wall where your smart meter is on the opposite side of, like, some people have their smart meters on their bedroom wall. So this will help you see that. Or if you're in an apartment, if a neighbor has a router on the next to your kitchen, and you'll be able to pick up that field through the wall, and they'll give you a better idea of the areas that you'll want to focus on to mitigate. And mitigation does not mean, freaking out and moving. You can mitigate things very simply with things like aluminum screening and fucking tin foil. It actually works. Grounding things, and it can all be done very inexpensively too. And most importantly is just getting rid of your own router, because it's cranking these numbers out 100% of the time in your house if you've got a wireless router going, even if it is well, I'll get into that later. Anyways, let's wrap this section up now. All right.
Wow.
Meters. This one's a lot.
Did it? I think it took out your F word. Look at that. Wow. They censored your F word. Poor shit.
Wow.
That was a perfectly placed F-bomb. Fuck that.
I've never been censored before. That's exciting.
Poor shit. But that was great. That was amazing. Oh my God. You turn on airplane mode and then it immediately calms down. So it's like, boom, right in your face.
Yeah, it's a big difference. It's a big, big difference. Yeah. So, but we are adapting to these frequencies too, but the idea is to allow your body grace and time to adapt too. And if you are having symptoms of oxidative stress, then this is a very efficient way to let your body rest and heal, just removing the fields that are disabling it from being able to do that. I know, that's the biggest fucking black pill ever.
Right. Well, you finish it on a positive note here as we start to close out. We don't need to read all of this, but we got some scripture here. But I think.
Oh yeah, this is where mold is referenced in the Bible. It says basically, get the brick out of the house that's moldy and leave the house and come back. And if the mold's gone, then you can move back in. And if it's not gone and it spreads back out, then you got to, take it to an unclean place and bury the old house, or, there's just different strategies of how to deal with different levels of mold biblically, which I find very interesting because clearly they knew back then that mold was a big problem.
Right.
They were able to put 2 and 2 together with people's health and probably people's psychological health too.
Wow.
And then the next one is just
The next slide.
the next slide is just scripture reminding us that to fear not. One of the verses I love is 2 Corinthians, which says, "We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed." I love that verse because it's validating. Hey, y'all are, getting hit, but you got stamina. You got this. This is the adversity that we are, if we look at it the proper way, we're gifted with forging through. This is, or like I said to Liz in her comment section after her last live, this is the pile of shit that is put on top of the seed that we need to push through, that makes us stronger when we push through, but it stinks. So that doesn't mean, like it says, we don't despair. We're laughing. We're having a great time, despite the fact that we're facing a lot of shit, because we have faith that we can. We know that we can. But yeah, those are some of my favorite verses on fearing not, and don't panic, being the central and primary rule number 1 with any and all of this information, because for obvious reasons, it just gets you nowhere.
Right. And here's your last one. If you wanted to read that out.
Sure. The pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the realist adjusts the sails. That's what we're trying to figure out how best to do. How do we adjust our sails? It's different for everybody because we're all being hit by different crosswinds. But most of the time, the things that we can do very simple things by simplifying our life, by simplifying our perception, and embracing removing obstacles as opposed to falling prey to any marketing that promises any solutions. Just say fucking no. That's right, Stace.
This was great, Charley. Well freaking done.
Thank you. I feel like this is the kind of stuff that this community is always touching on in one level or another anyways. And so I really appreciate having people who are interested in this kind of stuff as I am, to talk to and to bounce this off of, because we all know what it's like talking about this kind of shit to our friends and family in the normie world.
Right. Well, now you got moldies and NCs, non-creatives out there that just can't see it because their mind can't understand what's going on. But it usually takes, in a lot of situations, and even mine, it often sometimes does take somebody. Well, there's financial, issues that people go through to try to figure out what the heck's going on in the world, but health issues. Health is like the most important thing. So when my health went down, even though I fell for a lot of stuff, I told myself that I'm a pessimist and a skeptic to a degree that's unhealthy, and I opened myself up to foolery. But it made me learn what it was to be a part of a cult, be a part of these hopium things, like the unrealistic expectations that are constantly being pushed, especially on the internet. But they have since the beginning of time. Snake oil salesman bullshit. But realism. Let's be real about this. And like we've talked about, we've said multiple times, we don't have to turn everything into woo-woo. Some of this stuff has a lot more logical, reasonable explanations and conversations that could be had than people give it credit for on a lot of platforms. They just want to freaking, we can't wait for Jesus to come back, or, it's a spiritual warfare and we just got to put on the armor of God. And great, those things, I'm not saying anything negative against it, but in order to combat some of the stuff that's happening in our world, we can have conversations with people of all faiths or lack of faith, if you will, and still have this conversation and figure out what we can do to be realistic about our circumstances.
Yeah. I always say Jesus's advice is like great no matter who you are anyways, you know. You don't have to be Christian to go, wow, Jesus, that was a really good point, you know. He reaches across the lines like that really beautifully.
This is great. Super job in education conversation, Charkey and everyone. So you're Charkey, and then down here, Robin. And I know this is just fun. I love pointing this stuff out. Thank you, Booba, Charlie, and all. I am Booba. D Booma San. Booba. You gotta love them boobas. No? Okay. No, we love you all. Yeah, anybody else have any? I think Honey's changed the locations 4 times since this began. How are you doing there, Honey?
My battery was dying, and then the security light kept going on and off outside. And so here I'm just on the stairs in the garage, and my computer has the chair. But I'm cool.
Awesome. Made it work. I'm glad you were able to hang out the whole time. Dawn D, how you hanging in there?
Doing good. This was great. Thank you so much, Charlie, and everybody. It's so much education and just, yeah, awareness is key. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And these conversations continue, and that's why I know not everybody's on Telegram, and I don't pump the Telegram. There's nothing being sold in there or anything like that. It's just literally community. I don't even have hardly time to spend in there, but you got people like Charlie, Heather, Honey, Dawn D, all these people in there chatting about all this stuff whenever you can have time in there. It's not like they're in there all the time, but when they do get in there, there's some fascinating discussions going on. This will continue. People will continue talking about this, and we'll find more ways to mitigate this stuff. What's up, Valeda? And we appreciate all of you that have tuned in. And we'll start closing out now. But yeah, this conversation never ends. This presentation was awesome. And thank you again, Charlie. This was great. I'll go to Heather first, and then I want to come back to Charlie, and then we'll close it out, if that's cool.
Thank you, Charlie, for doing this. I really appreciate it. It was a fantastic idea. You started the conversation in the Telegram, and it blossomed into this, and I think it's amazing. Thank you, Dorian, for hosting these. I think it's just wonderful what you're trying to accomplish here, building community, and it's working, and I love it. And thank you, Dawn and Honey, for coming on the panel today. I really appreciate you guys, everybody's input. I think we all have something of value to offer. And so I think doing things like this is perfect. And we're kind of showing people out there how to have conversations, how to go about this without arguing, yelling, screaming, pointing fingers, calling names. You know, we can do this, setting an example. So I appreciate you all very much. And everybody in the chat, love you too. Thank you very much for joining. And everybody has such great input to put out there. I just love it. So I will very much enjoy rewatching this so I can see all the comments too. So I'm super excited. Thank you.
And Robin, Booba was a great misspelling. I love it. It makes me happy. So don't even worry about it. and then Charkey. Charkey, the captain of the ship. So Charlie, final statements, and then we'll close out and look forward to the next one. But this again was really well done and awesome, and this conversation was definitely needed. And I love bringing this stuff to the people. So thank you.
I'm just so grateful to have an environment of people who are interested in this type of stuff. Like I said, I mean, just thank you. And thank you everybody who is on the panel supporting this too, because, you know, otherwise it's just me and Booma, and he's going to talk about buttholes the whole time.
Well, now it's going to be booba beads, all because of Robin and then Valerie highlighting it. I'd only be talking about booba beads. So sorry, but I was asking Charley if she wanted to do this, just me and her, and she was like, "No freaking way! Let's have a streamer or whatever." And I was like, "Okay," which is fun because all these ladies came together and we had a great time, some great discussions, some great additions by everybody, and it was fun.
So fun.
But yes, I'll talk about butthole sunning and all the things that you can do to help the thinnest membrane in your body receive the most light. Area of your body where you might be carrying some mold, perhaps.
Yeah. Valid. For
But I had a
sure.
great time. This was awesome. If anybody else has anything to share, please unmute and take the time for now. Otherwise, we'll close out. But it was awesome spending time with all of you. I think we're good. God bless you all. This was Mycelial Networking, Fungus, Fascia, and Frequency on Booma Streama number 39, featuring Charley on Friday, June 12th, 2026. God bless you all. We look forward to having you on the next one. And there you go. Booma butts, baby. Love you all. God bless. Peace.